Chapter 427. At the Shenong altar in Shenongjia. The Shenong altar was built on a mountain. It was divided into the heaven altar and the earth altar. There was a giant statue of Emperor Yen Shenong with a bull's head and a human body standing in the middle of the heaven altar. The earth altar was below the heaven altar. There was a square that could accommodate thousands of people. 2 10-meter-tall totem poles stood on both sides at the front of the earth altar's square. Meanwhile, there was an altar between the totem poles and the relief sculptures. The altar was set up according to the ancient emperor's altar. The sacrificial vessels made of bronze were placed in the middle, while the incense burner, incense table, golden bell, and drum were placed before the altar. At the moment, there were close to 1,000 people at the earth altar's square. People in all sorts of outfits were greeting each other with their fists clasped. It was bustling, and it would not be an exaggeration to describe it as boisterous. Meanwhile, in a corner of the square, Yulei and Yulian were looking around and observing the crowd. Shock filled their eyes. Gigi could not help but say, "There are so many people participating in the Longmen Convention this year." That's right. Apart from a concert, it's my first time seeing such an unofficial, private event. Yulian could not stop nodding as she took a good look at the crowd. Yulei said absent-mindedly, "Yulian, why don't we go back? After all, Sir Yi..." "Brother, didn't you tell the captain over the phone? He doesn't seem to be mad." "Since that's the case, let's leave after watching the Longmen Convention," Yulian said angrily. But, Yulei sighed. Just now, he had called the captain and told him everything that had happened. Originally, he was ready to accept punishment, but who knew that the captain would reply with 4 words, "I understand." This made him feel very uncomfortable. "No but." Yulian glared at him and said, "It's not easy for us to come out. An hour or 2 won't make a difference, right? Moreover, Deng Chan said that the Longmen Convention this time will be exciting." She was secretly upset. It was supposed to be a great mission, but Yi Chun insisted on going into the sinkhole and ended up dying in the lava. Although the captain said nothing, she was secretly worried. She could not help but secretly scoff as she thought to this point. "You're dead, but we still have to live in fear. We might even be implicated by you. We really owe you in our previous lives." Just as they were talking, they heard a commotion coming from the back of the crowd. Everyone turned around and saw a few black-robed men carrying a palanquin rushing over. On the palanquin sat a black-robed, skinny, sinister-looking old man. The old man sat cross-legged, motionless. What shocked everyone the most was that the palanquin was suspended in mid-air. In other words, those black-robed men were carrying the palanquin and flying through the air. Yulian and the other 2 were stunned. The rest of the people could not help but gasp. "Oh my God, they can still run in the air while carrying a palanquin? You won't fall? Or am I dreaming? It's Master Shiegu. I can't believe he's here too. Master Shiegu? Don't tell me it's the one who dominated the southern border?" The 4 hunks flew over the people's heads directly. Master Shiegu laughed and flew out of the palanquin as everyone watched with their mouths agape. He then landed on the stone steps between the heaven altar and the earth altar. "Greetings, Master Shiegu." Many people clasped their fists at him immediately. Yulian, her sister, and Gigi watched all of that blankly. Their emotions were in turmoil, and they felt like their world had collapsed. "Why is this man here too?" Yuan Chitai, who was next to Yulian, frowned in disdain. He did not like Shiegu because the man was the descendant of the Xiangxi corpse herding sect. The Xiangxi corpse herding sect was originally a profession that blessed the dead and comforted the living. However, the corpse herding sect had been using zombies to transport poison since they fell into Shiegu's hand. Moreover, the man was cruel and unscrupulous. He often stole corpses from morgues and funeral parlors. Although the 4 major tomb-raiding sects, including the Banshan, used to dig up people's ancestral graves, which was something unspeakable, they had no grudges with the living. They had their own bottom line. The next moment, 3 black silhouettes flew over from the distance, and in the blink of an eye, the black silhouettes had arrived. Everyone saw that the 3 bamboo hat men were descending from the sky, each holding a black umbrella. The black umbrellas were rapidly spinning, tightly holding their bodies. Who are they? Someone was confused. However, nobody replied to him. Only a portion of the people's pupils shrunk. They recognized the 3 men as Xialing, one of the 4 major tomb raiding sections. Rumor had it that Xialing and Feiqiu were the most mysterious among the 4 major sections. They had never contacted outsiders. However, why were they here at the Longmen Convention instead of going to tomb raiding? Yu Lian also recognized that the 3 of them had saved Gigi before. The 3 men in bamboo hats walked straight to the side and stood with their hands behind their back. They said nothing, but they glanced at Yuan Chitai by instinct when they walked past him. Yuan Chitai looked back too. More people arrived before the people could react. Leading the group were 2 men in yellow robes. It's Master Zabu from Tantric Tibetan Buddhism, and Taoist Master Meng Haoran from Mount Lao. Within 10 minutes, there were tens of people in the earth altar. The people were shocked to find out that almost all the cultivation sects and organizations in China were here. Someone took a deep look at the few people beside Yuan Chitai and thought to himself in shock, Banshan Chief, Gold Raider, Feiqiu Heavenly Official, Xialing Chief. The 4 major sects of tomb raiding are all here. Which Emperor's mausoleum did they have their eyes on? At that moment, countless eyes glanced at Yuan Chitai and the rest, including Yu Lian and the other 2. Yu Lian could not stand the stairs, so she could not help but drag Gigi and Yulei to the side. She dared not get too close to Yuan Chitai and the rest. Yuan Chitai did not care at all. He kept moving his lips while the few people next to him moved their lips too. They seemed to be communicating with their lips. One of the blind old men moved his lips slightly. Old Yuan, have you checked where the heavenly tomb is? I have. Yuan Chitai shook his head lightly. But I couldn't get close to the magma eruption, so I'm not sure if there's really a tomb there. It must exist. An old woman beside him coughed and mouthed. The previous chief of my Feiqiu lineage had left behind a letter before he died. It recorded that there's a tomb of an origin energy realm powerhouse beneath the sinkhole. As soon as that was said, the few of them, including Yuan Chitai, had a burning desire in their eyes. Origin energy. That was above, illuminating God. It was every spell master's lifelong pursuit. The entire Chinese cultivation world had been passed down for hundreds of years, but there was no origin energy powerhouse until now. One could tell how difficult it was to get to origin energy. No matter what, the 4 major tomb raiding sects have joined forces this time. We'll go through mountains of knives and seas of fire. If there's really an origin energy powerhouse's tomb, we'll discuss how to divide it later. A man in a bamboo hat said in a deep voice. The few of them nodded. Just when they were going to say something, someone exclaimed all of a sudden, Celestial Master Zhang from Dragon Tiger Mountain is here. Chapter 428. Mount Longhu, the birthplace of Taoism in China, known as one of the 4 sacred places of Taoism. According to legend, the founder of Mount Longhu, Zhang Daoling, had once refined the 9 heavens divine pill on Mount Yunjin. It took him 3 years to complete the pill. On the day of the pill's completion, there was a heavenly phenomenon of a dragon and a tiger. After he consumed the pill, he gathered clouds and ascended. Therefore, Mount Yunjin was renamed as Mount Longhu by later generations. Zhang Daoling became the celestial master. Mount Longhu had existed since the end of the Han dynasty for nearly 2,000 years. Every generation of sect leader had been a person with the surname Zhang. Despite the decline of Mount Mao and Mount Lao, Mount Longhu remained as the sun in the sky. This was a testament to its status in the world of spellcasters. Therefore, after hearing that celestial master Zhang from Mount Longhu had arrived, the noisy crowd immediately quietened down. Everyone could not help but look back. An old man with white hair and a youthful face in green robes walked over slowly with a horsetail whisk in his hand. He looked like an immortal. Compared to Master Shiegu's flashy entrance, the old man seemed to be keeping a low profile. Even so, no one dared to underestimate him. They subconsciously made way for him with deep respect on their faces. Even Yuan Chitai and the others did the same. This was because the other party was the current sect leader of Dragon Tiger Mountain, as well as the president of the Sorcery Association, Zhang Kadi. His Taoist name was Xianqing, which was why he was called Zhang Xianqing. He was someone who led Dragon Tiger Mountain and all the spell masters in the entire Chinese sorcery world. Due to his extraordinary Dao method and his high prestige, he and Hong Kong's southern sect leader, Shin Tianan, were known as the powerhouses who were closest to origin energy. They were known as legends in the spell world. Greetings, Celestial Master Zhang. When Zhang Xianqing approached, everyone bowed from the bottom of their hearts, emitting a tsunami-like sound. Zhang Xianqing nodded lightly and walked up the 243 steps alone. Eventually, he arrived before the Shennong Yen Emperor's giant bull-headed human statue. He lifted his eyes to look at the crowd and said, "Shin Tianan isn't here yet? Celestial Master, I haven't seen Shin Tianan yet." Master Shiegu was all smiles in the crowd. "Forget it. Since he's late, let's begin." Zhang Xianqing shook his head and said, "I hereby announce the official start of the Longmen Convention. The top 3 can enter the Dragon Tiger Mountain to visit the Scripture Pavilion and borrow all sorts of books." As soon as he said that, everyone's spirits were shaken, and their breathing became hurried. Mount Longhu was an ancient sect that had been passed down for 2,000 years, so it had countless ancient books. If they could borrow them, their cultivation would definitely soar. The next moment, Zhang Xianqing spoke again. "I believe everyone knows the rules of the Longmen Convention. It's only about who's stronger and who's weaker. If anyone dares to violate it, don't blame me for being merciless." Everyone said in unison, "We will follow your orders." Master Shiegu leaped onto the heaven altar as soon as he calmed down. He said in a condescending manner, "I, Shiegu, believe that my spell is number 1 in Tianan. Is there anyone who's willing to spar with me?" As his voice fell, many of the people who were tempted to step forward immediately stiffened. The fire in their hearts was extinguished, and they were filled with fear. Xiegu's cultivation base was at least at the spirit realm. Asking them to compete with an spirit realm warrior? What kind of joke was that? Many of them secretly cursed Master Shiegu for being shameless. Don't experts like you always show up last? However, there were people who were not afraid of him. An old man from the Wu family from Lingnan scoffed, "Shiegu, how dare you say that your spell is number 1 in Tianan? What? Wu Yan, if I can't do it, do you think you can?" Master Shiegu's smile turned cold as he spoke in a creepy manner. "At least I have some self-awareness." Wu Yan chuckled. "However, I know that you can't catch up to me in terms of spell cultivation base in the entire Tianan." Many of the people secretly chuckled when they saw the duo arguing. They looked like they were watching a good show. After all, everyone knew that the Wu family from Lingnan and Master Shiegu from Nanjiang never got along. "I'd like to know who it is," Master Shiegu said while smiling instead of being mad. Wu Yan took a deep breath in and enunciated word for word, "I'm afraid you've forgotten that there was a Master Yi who could control the divine thunder in Lin City in Tianan some time ago." The people were stunned at first as soon as they heard that. They could not help but inhale sharply as they had clearly heard about him before. "Are you talking about the number 1 on the heaven leaderboard, Mad Southern Yi?" Master Shiegu's expression changed slightly and he said in slight fear, "Mad Southern Yi is an ancient martial artist. I admit that he has a powerful ability. It's not an exaggeration to say that he's the number 1 in China in terms of ancient martial arts cultivation base. However, I don't believe that he's a spell master." Many people had heard about the fact that Mad Southern Yi was Master Yi, who could control the divine thunder. He looked at the people as he spoke to this point and spoke again. Guys, think about it. Since the beginning of time, there have only been ancient martial artists and spell masters. Since when has there been a spell master and martial arts dual cultivator? To me, it's just a rumor that Mad Southern Yi can control the divine thunder. The people nodded by instinct and agreed with him. Even Zhang Xianqing from Dragon Tiger Mountain was no exception. The path of cultivation was truly difficult. Whether it was ancient martial arts or spell master, it was as difficult as ascending to heaven. Ordinary people could not master any of them even if they spent their entire lives, let alone dual cultivation. Master Shigu glanced coldly at Wu Yan and could not help but say while smiling, Wu Yan, I'm not afraid to tell you that if Mad Southern Yi dares to compete with me in Spell Master, I can suppress him with a flip of my hand. Wu Yan was speechless at that moment. All she could do was scoff. The reason why he mentioned Mad Southern Yi to attack Master Shigu earlier was that he did not like him. In reality, even he did not believe that Mad Southern Yi was a genius who cultivated both spell master and martial arts dual cultivator. After all, Master Shigu was right. Yulian, who was in the crowd, could not help but look at Yuan Chitai when she saw the duo arguing. Master Yuan, who exactly is this Mad Southern Yi? Why is everyone reacting like this? That's right. Gigi was curious too. Before Yuan Chitai could speak, Deng Chan, who was standing aside, said while looking at them in disdain, You guys aren't from the spell master and ancient martial arts world. You guys won't understand even if I tell you. How would we understand if you don't tell us? Yulian retorted. Seeing that the duo was going to argue, Yuan Chitai spoke with respect on his face. Mad Southern Yi, all you guys need to know is that he's a genius powerhouse that's hard to come by in China in 100 years. It's not an exaggeration to say that he's the number one in China's ancient martial arts world. Master Yuan, are you his match? Yulian's eyes lit up while her face was filled with gossip. After what happened earlier, her worldview was reconstructed again. She knew that there were many extraordinary people in this world. How powerful was this Mad Southern Yi, who was known as the number one in China's ancient martial arts world? Yuan Chitai shook his head lightly facing her question. He was in between tears and laughter. How can I be his match? I wouldn't dare to fight someone like that. Even you're not his match. Yulian exclaimed while shock filled her beautiful eyes. One must know that they had seen Yuan Chitai's technique earlier. It was not an exaggeration to describe him as a god. However, Mad Southern Yi was more powerful than him. Deng Chan said rather annoyed. Master, Mad Southern Yi is from the ancient martial arts world, while you're from the spell world. How can you compare them? Master Shigu is right. If Mad Southern Yi dares to compete with you in spells, he definitely won't be your match. Silly girl. Yuan Chitai said in between tears and laughter. No matter if it's the ancient martial arts world or the spell world, they're all the same. The goal is to break the human body's shackles and become more powerful. All you need to know is that I, your master, won't be Mad Southern Yi's match if we fight. Deng Chan said nothing while feeling upset. Yulian blinked and said softly, Mad Southern Yi, Mad Southern. His name alone is destined to be a hero. No wonder he's the number one in the ancient martial arts world. She noticed that Yulei was absent-minded as she was thinking. He seemed to be thinking about something, so she could not help but pat him. What are you thinking about, brother? I'm thinking about Sir Yi. If I held him back earlier, perhaps he wouldn't have. Yulei said while feeling sorry for her. Why are you mentioning him again? Yulian's expression turned grim. I told you that he's dead. His death has nothing to do with us. If you have the time, why don't you pay attention to the powerhouses in the world? For example, that Mad Southern Yi. P.S. Today's update for the 3rd chapter has been completed. I'll continue tomorrow. Thank you for your support. This book has been banned for 6 chapters this time. It has been edited countless times, and it hasn't been released yet. Therefore, the chapters will repeat, but the content won't. Chapter 429. Just when Yu Lian was mumbling Mad Southern Ye's name, Master Xiegu looked at the people in a condescending manner from the altar. Master Xiegu, who was on the heaven altar, looked at the people in a condescending manner. He then looked at Wu Yan from Lingnan's Wu family and smirked in disdain. Wu Yan, I'll give you a chance since you don't like me. Come on up. Let's fight if you want. Do you really think I'm scared of you? Wu Yan snorted coldly. With a wave of her sleeve, she leaped over 200 or 300 steps like a gust of wind, and finally landed on the Temple of Heaven. The Wu clan of Lingnan and Master Xiegu had always held grudges against each other. The reason was because someone from the Wu clan had died many years ago. In the end, Xiegu dug the dead body that had been buried secretly and refined it into a walking corpse. The two families had been fighting for years, but Master Xiegu had always had the upper hand. Wu Yan had been training hard for years, so he wanted to avenge himself today. The people could not help but cheer when they saw him leaping 30 feet into the air and leaping 100 steps. They stared deadly at him. He's walking as if he's light and leaping in the air? TSK, it seems like Wu Yan has stepped into illuminating God too. That must be the case. No wonder he changed his attitude from before and went against Master Xiegu publicly. Even Zhang Xianxing of Dragon Tiger Mountain, who was standing aside, secretly nodded. To spell masters, one would always be an ant if one did not step into illuminating God. Wu Yan, I can't believe you've stepped into illuminating God too. Master Xiegu's smile froze as shock flashed through his eyes. Xiegu, I bet you didn't expect this, did you? It's all thanks to you. Don't worry, I'll pay you back for all the humiliation you've brought to the Wu family in the past. Wu Yan smirked and performed hand seals with both hands. As the people watched in shock, his clothes fluttered even though there was no wind, as if he was bathing in a strong wind. Many spell masters' pupils shrunk intensely. The reason being they saw black energy gathering toward Wu Yan. It was a murderous aura. It was colorless and shapeless because his clothes were fluttering in the air. Bang! A compass appeared in Wu Yan's hand. She stomped her foot, and a muffled thunderous sound came from the depths of her throat. Then, she spouted a mouthful of white gas at the compass. The loud sound startled everyone. Ferocious aura gathered on the compass in his hand. The black and white yin-yang fishes on the compass shook intensely as if they were alive. At the same time, 8 black threads shot out of the 8 divinatory positions on the compass. The threads attacked Master Xiegu like a spider web. This is a real magic tool? Everyone was shocked speechless as they stared at the compass in Wu Yan's hand. Yu Lian and her sister, as well as Zhizhi, widened their eyes as if they had discovered a new continent. They had never seen such a scene before, and they were utterly shocked. Even Yuan Chitai's expression froze. This is the Southern Ridge's Wu family's heirloom, the evil gathering plate? I didn't expect Wu Yan to bring it out. Rumor had it that the Southern Ridge's Wu family had a compass that could gather murderous aura. The compass was a killing tool that could be used to activate the formation on the compass to fight the enemy. Wu Yan, I can't believe you brought the evil gathering plate with you. Master Xiegu squinted and subsequently smiled in disdain. But so what? It's a fact that your cultivation base is lower than mine. You can only unleash 30% of the evil gathering plate's power. Moreover, you're not the only one with a magic tool. A black bell appeared in his hand all of a sudden as soon as he was done speaking. A black bell suddenly appeared in his hand. It was about the size of a palm, and there were talismans stuck on it. It emitted a heavy aura. Wu Yan, I'll let you know today that you can't do it. Master Xiegu charged forward as soon as he said that. Master Xiegu did not retreat when faced with the 8 threads on Wu Yan's compass. Instead, he charged forward and the black bell in his hand rang. An ear-piercing sound came out as if there was a devil roaring in it. At the same time, a long black snake shot out of the bell and charged at Wu Yen. Bang! The moment the black snake collided with the 8 thin threads, the entire ground shook violently. After everyone managed to stabilize themselves with great difficulty, they saw that Wu Yen had retreated a few steps with the compass in her hand and spat out a mouthful of blood. Meanwhile, not only was Master Shigu fine, but he continued charging at Wu Yen. Meanwhile, the black bell in his hand expanded a few times. Eventually, it flew out of his hand like a bronze bell and covered Wu Yen directly. Bang! Wu Yen could not dodge in time at all. She was covered by the bronze bell that the bell had turned into. The battle ended just like that. Many people were dumbstruck. Never had they thought that Wu Yen would not be Master Shigu's match, even though they were both illuminating god powerhouses and possessed magic tools. God! God! Gigi looked at Master Shigu blankly. Yulien and Yulei did not look any better. The earlier scene had changed their view of the world again. Shigu wins this battle. Dragon Tiger Mountain's Zhang Xianqing declared. He looked like he was in deep thought after taking a good look at the bronze bell. Subsequently, he shook his head lightly and said, "The outcome has been decided. Shigu, let Wu Yen out." Master Shigu performed a hand seal with both hands, and the bronze bell shrunk in the air. Eventually, it turned into the black bell from before and was put away in his sleeve. He looked at Wu Yen again. At that moment, his face was pale as if he had experienced something terrifying. "So, Wu Yen, now you know that you're no match for me, don't you? It's not an exaggeration to say that I'm the #1 in the spell world of Tiannan, am I right?" Master Shigu was proud of himself. Wu Yen forced a smile. "Shigu, you've hidden it well. Even if Mad Southern Yi really knows spells, he's no match for you. I admit defeat this time." "It's really a divine technique," Yulien said while biting her lip. "Even the #1 in the ancient martial arts world that Master Yuan mentioned, Mad Southern Yi, can't fight such a divine technique, can he? Seems like spells are more powerful." In the underground current under the sinkhole, a black stone appeared in Yi Chen's hand. A black stone the size of an egg appeared in Yi Chen's hand. There was a golden flame flickering in it. The flame was the size of a fingernail, and it looked like it could be extinguished at any time. "It's really the golden fire crystal. Moreover, it seems like it's heavenly fire. I've gained a lot from this trip." Although he was calm, he could not help but feel excited at that moment. There were many flames in this world. Ordinary flames were used for cooking. There were earth fire, true fire, spiritual fire, and extraordinary fire above that. For those flames to burn for thousands of years, they would need something to burn, which was an energy source. They would be destroyed as time passed. However, there was a type of flame that never burned. That was heavenly fire. Heavenly fire was born from the heavens. It was the tinder of all the flames in the world. It was also the purest flame. No matter if it was true fire, ordinary fire, or spiritual fire, they were all born from it. But why is the golden fire crystal in his body? Yi Chen frowned slightly as he looked at the corpse before him. Subsequently, he checked his body again and found a green jade tablet and a yellowed silk scroll from his pouch. He also found an ancient painting on the cattail hassock. Chapter 430. Since the silk scroll was kept close to him, it did not rot. Yi Chen opened it and realized that it was written in traditional Chinese characters. The gist of it was, "My name is Lin Feng. I'm from the Yenyang city's Lin family. My mother passed away when I was born, so I was treated as an unlucky person. Later on, I was found to have no martial vein, so my family despised me. However, I obtained a cultivation method by chance when I was 16. It allowed me to strengthen myself by devouring flames. Therefore, I left my family and traveled the world. I've devoured no less than 20 types of flames throughout the 10 years. I'm only one step away from origin energy. When I was traveling this place, I noticed that Hua-Er was unusually excited about the sinkhole. I suspected that there was a spiritual fire under the sinkhole. I found the spiritual fire after entering the sinkhole after much effort. Moreover, this spiritual fire is of a higher level than the ones I devoured before. It's even more dangerous. I'm a cripple in my family. I was shocked and humiliated. I want to become more powerful and break through to origin energy to take back what I've lost. Therefore, I decided to devour this spiritual fire after much consideration. I never thought that the spiritual fire would devour my cultivation base and vitality as soon as it entered my stomach. Eventually, I could only seal the spiritual fire with my remaining cultivation base. The word seal disappeared from the silk scroll. Yi Chen's expression changed a few times. Eventually, he speculated, it seems like although he sealed the golden fire crystal, he couldn't save his life. The golden fire crystal must have devoured all of his vitality. That must be the reason why he looks so old. As for the horror that he mentioned, it must be the fire crow from before. It was considered loyal. Its master had been dead for so many years, but it still protected its body well. Yi Chen looked at the green jade token in his hand and noticed that the word Lin was carved on it. It should be the person's proof of identity. Meanwhile, there was an ordinary-looking young man in his 20s on the ancient painting. It must be the person's self-portrait. How dare a mere mortal try to devour the heavenly fire? He shook his head lightly, not knowing whether to laugh or cry at the person's bold idea. Since it was the heavenly fire, there was nothing it could not devour, let alone cultivation base and vitality. If not for the jade bed that the person had prepared beforehand, his entire body might have been devoured by the heavenly fire. But where did he come from? What is the martial vein you speak of? He frowned and thought for a while, then put the identity token and the portrait into his storage ring. My initial assumption was that there might be fire essence here, but I didn't expect it to be the golden fire crystal of a higher level. In this case, I'm even more confident in establishing a divine Tao foundation. I can also use the golden fire crystal to cultivate a divine power. But if I want to break through to the foundation layer, I will have to swallow the golden fire crystal like Lin Feng. If the celestial fire causes a backlash, even though I won't end up like Lin Feng, I'm afraid that all the effort I've put into practicing cultivation will be wasted. Yi Chen's expression kept changing. Eventually, he shook his head lightly and said, "The path of cultivation has always been about destiny. When did I become so timid and worried about personal gains and losses? At most, I'll fail to break through and my cultivation base will be devoured by the heavenly fire. At least, I still have my physical strength. However, if I manage to establish a divine Tao foundation, my future will be smooth. My techniques will skyrocket, and nobody in the entire world will be a threat to me." Yi Chen stopped hesitating after making up his mind. He got up and walked out of the cave abode. He lifted his arm to set up a barrier and moved Lin Feng's body aside with a wave. He sat on the jade bed with his legs crossed and took out 5 bottles of qi cultivation pills from his storage ring. He opened his mouth and swallowed the golden fire crystal and 3 qi cultivation pills without hesitation. As soon as the golden fire crystal entered his stomach, it turned into a golden flame the size of a pigeon's egg. Almost at that moment, a terrifying devouring power came from the golden flame. The devouring power tore Yi Chen's dantian, organs apart. It was like a pile of lime being thrown into a basin of water. Meanwhile, the spiritual power that the 3 qi cultivation pills turned into was devoured by the devouring power on the golden flame. That was not all. The devouring power devoured the spiritual power in Yi Chen's dantian instead. Sensing the change coming from his stomach, Yi Chen grunted and swallowed 3 qi cultivation pills immediately. At the same time, he circulated the Emperor's scripture quickly. Bang! The golden flame in his body grew. It grew from the size of a pigeon's egg to the size of a chicken within the span of a few breaths. It looked like a scorching sun. Meanwhile, countless golden flames were coming out of Yi Chen's body, burning his clothes. Shenangjia, Shennong altar. After Wu Yan from the Lingnan Wu family was defeated, Master Xiegu looked at the people with his arms behind his back. He was getting more and more arrogant. Is there anyone else who's willing to fight me? Wherever his gaze passed, many people lowered their heads, not daring to look him in the eye. After all, Wu Yan, who was also in the spirit realm, had been defeated by him with the help of a celestial device. Most people were no match for him. Master Xiegu was getting more and more proud as he watched their reactions. However, his eyes looked rather grim. In the entire Tiannan, people only knew about Tiannan's number one, Mad Southern Yi. However, they had no idea that Master Xiegu's spells were also godly. Why? He, Mad Southern Yi, was just an ordinary man with brute force? How could he stand above him and be the number one in Tiannan? His eyes were getting more and more ferocious as he thought to this point. I'm going to make a name for myself with the Longmen Convention today. I'm going to let the world know that Tiannan doesn't only have Mad Southern Yi, but there's also me, Master Xiegu. I'm even more powerful than Mad Southern Yi. If I can get into the top 3 in the Longmen Convention, I'm confident that I can break through to Origin Energy after reading the cultivation books in Dragon Tiger Mountain. By then, what's Mad Southern Yi? I'm going to destroy his legend. At the same time, Yuan Chitai, who was in the crowd, looked at the few people next to him and said softly, "Guys, what are you waiting for? We, the 4 great sects of tomb raiding, have already attracted the attention of others. If we don't do anything, we might expose the heavenly tomb." At this point, he looked at the blind old man beside him. "Sidujin, I'll deal with rotten bones first before issuing a challenge to you. It's time for your Luojin branch to return the mountain measuring ruler of the Banshan branch to us." His voice fell. He took a step forward and was about to enter the arena. Right at this moment, an extremely violent sound of wind and thunder resounded from afar, and it was like a bolt from the blue that caused everyone to be instantly stunned. "Look, there's someone in the sky!" Someone cried out in surprise. Everyone looked up and saw a huge gray figure rushing towards them from the horizon. Within a few breaths, the figure had completely entered everyone's line of sight. "There's really someone, and he's carrying something. It's a coffin, he's carrying a coffin. That coffin weighs at least a few 100 pounds, right? Oh my God, is he even human? You can fly while carrying a coffin?" Everyone's eyes were blank as they watched the person flying closer to them quietly. Meanwhile, Yulien covered her mouth tightly with disbelief written all over her face. "Is that a real god?" Zhang Xianqing from Dragon Tiger Mountain frowned slightly as he looked at the silhouette in the sky. Although they were hundreds of meters apart, he could still sense the majestic aura and killing intent from the person. He secretly inhaled sharply and said while frowning, "Such powerful killing intent. Shen Tianan, you're finally here, but why are you carrying a coffin?" Chapter 431. In the sky above the Shennong altar. An old man in plain clothes walked in the air while carrying a gigantic yellow coffin in one hand. He had white hair and wrinkles all over his face. He looked like an old man with one foot in the grave. However, his eyes were like lightning, and his aura was majestic. He stared coldly at the people beneath him, not hiding the intense killing intent on his body at all. The people felt like a mountain was falling, and they were shocked. The man and the coffin in the air gave them an unknown pressure. Yulei and the rest almost knelt onto the ground. They were terrified. At this point, no matter how ignorant they were, they knew the old man in the sky was a powerful figure. Even Yulien, who had always been prideful, dared not make a sound at the moment as she was afraid that the old man would vent his anger on her. "It's Shen Tianan, the Hong Kong Southern Sect's leader." Someone inhaled sharply and looked shocked. Clearly, he recognized him. His voice was neither loud nor soft, but everyone heard him clearly. There was an uproar at that moment, and many people's expressions changed. Shen Tianan. Those three names represented too many things. The Hong Kong Southern Sect's leader, the legend of the spell world, the only person who was as famous as Celestial Master Zhang of Dragon Tiger Mountain, the champion of the Longmen Convention for 5 consecutive years, the person who was the closest to origin energy in the spell world in China. I heard that Master Shen looks like he's only 60 years old. How did he become like this? He looks like an old man in his 90s. Most importantly, why did he come to the Longmen Convention with a coffin? Did he prepare it for himself or for someone else? He's not friendly. Thud. Facing the people's shock, Shen Tianan walked in the air and landed on the altar directly. The coffin landed hard on the ground, causing the ground to shake and crack. Many people were secretly shocked. The force alone was no less than 500 kilograms. Master Xiegu, who was the closest to him, had goosebumps all over his body. He was not satisfied with the pride he had earlier. There was only fear in his heart now. Now, he finally understood the difference between him and Shen Tianan. Thinking of this, he secretly swallowed a mouthful of saliva and squeezed out a flattering smile on his face. Master Shen, I've finally waited for you to come. Get out of here. Shen Tianan shouted angrily before he was done speaking. Just this one sound. Master Xiegu felt a terrifying power coming from the sky. He was thrown thousands of meters away from the altar, and his face turned pale. He looked at Shen Tianan with fear in his eyes when he finally regained his footing. He exclaimed, This is the verbal compliance law. As soon as these words came out, the entire place became deathly silent. The law was enforced with his words. It could be said that this was the realm that all spell masters, and even everyone in the world of spells, pursued. As the name suggested, the moment the words left their mouths, the spells would follow. They had truly gained enlightenment and understood the true essence of the Tao. Yuan Chitai's expression changed, but he subsequently forced a smile. That's great. Shen Tianan, you're indeed the number one in Hong Kong's spell world. Now, even Zhang Xianqing from Dragon Tiger Mountain could not sit still anymore. He looked at Shen Tianan in shock and said, Brother Shen, how did you become like this? Also, why did you bring the coffin here? His ability was on par with Shen Tianan's in the past. However, he knew that he was no match for Shen Tianan now that Shen Tianan had comprehended the verbal compliance law. Shen Tianan said nothing as he glanced at the people below with an extremely grim expression. Nobody dared to look him in the eye wherever he looked, including Yuan Chitai and the rest. That was Shen Tianan. Zhang Xuanqing's expression turned rather grim seeing that he was ignored. Brother Shen, please stand aside if you're here to watch the Longmen Convention. Longmen Convention? Shen Tianan grinned and spoke in an extremely husky voice. There's no need for it to continue today. I'm only here to kill someone. His tone was very calm, as if he was narrating a very ordinary matter. However, it revealed an irrefutable and strong killing intent. Everyone felt chills run down their spines as soon as he was done speaking. Everyone present felt a chill run down their spines, and they lowered their heads once more. Terror filled their hearts, and they wondered who exactly he wanted to kill. You're going to kill someone? The smile on Zhang Xuanqing's face froze slowly. He said in his deep voice, Brother Shen, I'm the host of the Longmen Convention today. Are you saying that you're going to kill someone? That's not funny at all. The spell world was different from the ancient martial arts world. They did not care about life and death when they fought. After all, there were fewer people in the spell world than in the ancient martial arts world. Moreover, Dragon Tiger Mountain was the spell world's sacred ground. Nobody was allowed to break the rules. My son was killed. Shen Tianan said expressionlessly. What? Zhang Xuanqing's expression changed. Your son, Shen Xingye, is dead? Gasp. Hearing this, the crowd below burst into an uproar. Shen Tianan's son was killed. If they had not heard it with their own ears, they would not have believed it even if they were beaten to death. Putting aside how terrifying Shin Tianan was, just the fact that his son, Shin Xingye, was a genius who had entered illuminating God in his 20s, could be killed? Even if Shin Xingye was a piece of trash, nobody dared to kill him, right? It was because his father was Shin Tianan, who was famous in China's spell world. Yuan Chitai, who was among the crowd, came to a realization. He said, I see. No wonder Shin Tianan looks so old. No wonder he wore white and came with a coffin. Yu Lian, who was standing next to him, lifted her head to look at Shin Tianan in slight fear. She could not help but ask, Master Yuan, is that person powerful? Deng Chan grinned coldly. He's a legend in the spell world. It's not an exaggeration to say that he's a god. Do you think he's powerful? If he were to fight, apart from Celestial Master Zhang, nobody here would be able to live. Yu Lian's face turned pale as soon as she said that. She stammered as she said, I can't believe such a powerful person dared to kill his son. Is he crazy? Yuan Chitai sighed softly. Rumor has it that Shin Tianan got his son when he was old. He doted on his only son and placed all his hopes on him. Now that his only son is dead, how can he not go crazy? Master, Shin Xingye is an illuminating god powerhouse. I can't believe someone killed him. Who exactly is it? Deng Chan asked in confusion. Yuan Chitai shook his head lightly and said, No matter who he is, he's in great trouble. Unless he's a legendary origin energy powerhouse, he'll definitely die. Meanwhile, there had never been an origin energy powerhouse in China for hundreds of years. Which bastard killed his son and lured him here? I hope he won't drag us into this. Yu Lian bit her lip. She was furious. On the heaven altar, Zhang Xuanqing's expression changed. He almost thought he heard it wrong. However, Shen Tiannan's expression did not seem to be fake. He took a deep breath in and said, Who killed him? China was going to change. P.S. Chapter 3. Today's update is complete. Thank you for your support. Chapter 432. Beneath the sinkhole, golden flames filled the entire underground river. As the flames spread, the temperature in the underground river rose gradually. The water in the entire underground river was boiling as if there were ferocious beasts fighting in it. Eventually, the water in the underground river evaporated completely, revealing the bumpy river bottom. White mist hovered in midair. It was red like fire as if it was a burning cloud. Even the space seemed to be slightly distorted. Endless flames gathered in one place from top to bottom as if they were worshipping. If not for the thickness of the surrounding stone walls and the incomparably sturdy soil layer that had been deposited over the years, the entire sinkhole would probably have collapsed. Meanwhile, there was an empty space in the middle of the sea of flames. There were no flames at all, as if the flames around had a spirit of their own. A skinny silhouette sat in the middle of the empty space with his legs crossed. He was naked like an old monk in meditation. If one were to look closer, one would notice that golden flames were seeping out of every pore on his skin. The young man did not care about that at all. He continued sitting with his legs crossed as if he was lonely. His eyes were closed, and the endless flames around him were getting more and more intense as he breathed through his nose and mouth. Nobody knew how long had passed. The young man let out a muffled growl. His tightly shut eyes finally showed signs of loosening at that moment. Subsequently, he opened them slowly. I've finally built my foundation. Yi Chen got up and stretched his stiff bones. He patted the dust on his body and revealed a smile on his face. Divine Tao Base. Great. The golden fire crystal didn't disappoint me. The sea of qi in his dantian was completely liquefied. It was the sign of spiritual power being liquefied. It was also the sign of foundation building. The liquid should not be underestimated. Even a drop of it contained energy that a spirit assembly powerhouse could not compare to. I've integrated the golden fire crystal now, but there's still some heavenly fire energy left in it. It'll be a waste if I let it go. I can use it to refine a divine power. Yi Chen thought to himself as he rubbed his chin. The so-called divine power was something that broke a regular person's understanding. For example, ancient martial artists could tear tigers apart, leopards, and lift 500-kilogram cauldrons. However, they could not lift themselves up by grabbing their own head. Naturally, that was impossible in the world of science. Divine abilities were meant to defy science. My body is already invincible in the current world. With the current conditions, there is no room for improvement. But I can consider refining a fire elemental technique, such as the golden eyes of the three-eyed gods in the deity realm. Yi Chen said thoughtfully. When he was in the immortal dimension, he ruled over 100 races, and the members of the three-eyed race possessed the innate divine ability of scorching golden eyes. They relied on a pair of golden eyes to illuminate the world, and nothing could escape the gaze of the golden eyes. It was even to the extent that they could emit a scorching golden light that restrained all evil. This is it. Although I can't restore the real golden pupils of fury, I can use the power of the heavenly fire to imitate a counterfeit version of the golden pupils of fury. This supernatural power can absorb any kind of fire. When it is mastered, it can burn the sky with a single glance. After making up his mind, Yi Chen realized that his clothes had long been burned by the heavenly fire. He could not help but walk to the side and take off the old man's robe and put it on himself. Then, he sat down cross-legged and began to cultivate the golden pupil flame. Shenangjia was dead silent. Zhang Xianqing of Dragon Tiger Mountain was shocked. People only knew that Shin Tianan doted on his only son, Shin Xingye. However, they had no idea that Shin Tianan doted on Shin Xingye to the extent that he indulged him. The reason was that Shin Tianan was under the tutelage of the southern sect's leader, Unveil Yuan, at that time. Shin Tianan had displayed a monstrous talent in cultivation, and Unveil Yuan favored him a lot. Unveil Yuan was the master of Hong Kong's spell world back then. Although his spells were unparalleled, he was lustful. He had many women, and those women were 40 to 50 years younger than him. However, Shin Tianan had an affair with his master's woman and impregnated her only son. After the scandal was exposed, the pregnant woman was punished, but she refused to say anything about Shin Tianan. Shin Tianan rushed back and took the initiative to admit it. He was the enemy of the entire southern sect in Hong Kong, especially Unveil Yuan. However, the result shocked everyone. Shin Tianan's disciple had surpassed his master and killed his master. As Unveil Yuan died, the entire southern sect in Hong Kong was purged. Meanwhile, the woman who had slept with Shin Tianan passed away because she could not bear the torture. Shin Xingye was pregnant with her only son back then. Shin Tianan felt guilty that his lover would rather die than confess to him. Naturally, the guilt was transferred to Shin Xingye. Naturally, it was a secret. Most people in the world who knew about it were dead. Zhang Xianqing was one of the people who knew about it. That was the reason why he was shocked when he heard that Shin Xingye was dead. Shin Tianan could betray his master and kill his ancestors for a woman. Was there anything that he would not do for his son now? Everyone present could not help but perk up after hearing Zhang Xuanqing's question. They secretly pricked up their ears, including Yu Lian and the rest. Shin Tianan chuckled in a creepy manner. The person who killed my son is the number one in China's ancient martial arts world, Mad Southern Yi. The place fell into dead silence as soon as he said that. The expressions on everyone's faces stiffened in unison. Their eyes widened, and a tempestuous storm surged in their hearts. Before this, they had wondered who would dare to kill Shin Xingye despite being condemned by the world. They had thought of many people, but they had never thought that it would be Mad Southern Yi. One must know that Mad Southern Yi was the number one in China's ancient martial arts world. Why would an ancient martial artist from this mainland come to Hong Kong to kill Shin Xingye? What? It's him. Yuan Chitai and the rest who were in the crowd could not help but be shocked. Yu Lian could not help but exclaim, Is it Mad Southern Yi who killed his son? She was secretly admiring Mad Southern Yi earlier, but Mad Southern Yi became a murderer in the next second. She had no idea what to say now. Yuan Chitai sighed softly. Things are getting out of hand now. Master Yuan, is Mad Southern Yi Shin Tiannan's match? Yu Lian asked by instinct. She was more concerned about that. Perhaps it was because of the first impression, but deep down, she was more inclined to Mad Southern Yi. As soon as that was said, Yu Lei, Deng Chan, and the rest could not help but look at Yuan Chitai. Yuan Chitai shook his head lightly. Theoretically, Mad Southern Yi has a higher chance of winning. However, now that Shin Tianan has mastered the verbal compliance law, coupled with the pain of losing his son, it's hard to say what will happen if they fight. In reality, there was something that he did not mention. There was an unwritten rule in the cultivation world whereby a mystic spell master would be more powerful than an ancient martial artist on the same level. This was because a mystic spell master could perform spells and use magic tools. Then, isn't Mad Southern Yi dead? Yu Lian's face turned pale, and her heart was in a mess at the moment. On the heaven altar, Zhang Xianqing inhaled sharply and looked at Shin Tianan in shock. Brother Shin, are you sure that Mad Southern Yi killed Xingye? This isn't a joke. You have to think twice. One was the number one in the ancient martial arts world, while the other was the number one in the spell world in Hong Kong. Hong Kong was the place where spells were the most popular. Both of them were sworn enemies. No matter who lived or died, it would stir up a huge commotion in China. He spoke again as he spoke to this point. Brother Shun, I'm not trying to discourage you, but Mad Southern Ye's power isn't as simple as you think. This person has killed a couple of half-step martial venerables. His ability should be on the level of a martial venerable. Really? What if I Lei are included? A calm voice came from far away just when he was done speaking. Chapter 433. Hearing the sudden voice, everyone could not help but look over by instinct. Everyone present could not help but look over instinctively. They saw a small black dot appear on the horizon. In the blink of an eye, the black dot was very close to them. A black-robed old man walked through the air with his hands clasped behind his back. His gaze was like lightning, and as he moved forward, an incomparably intense sonic boom rang out. Everyone felt their eardrums ringing, and their faces were filled with shock. What if I Lei Feihu are included? The man was still 100 meters away when he said that. However, he appeared above everyone as soon as he said that. His speed was comparable to the speed of light. This, Yu Lian and the rest were stunned. Their hearts could not take it anymore. Another powerhouse was here. Moreover, it seemed like he was no weaker than Shin Tianan. Hong Kong's Thunder King, Lei Feihu. Yuan Chitai inhaled sharply and stared at the old man in the sky with an extremely serious expression. Everyone's expression changed as soon as he said that. Hong Kong's Thunder King was one of the 4 powerhouses in China 50 years ago. He was invincible below martial venerable 50 years ago. His status in Hong Kong was no lower than Shin Tiannan's. Hong Kong's 2 dragons were here. The world was about to change. The same thought flashed through everyone's mind at the same time. Lei Feihu seemed to not have seen the people's shock. He landed on the altar directly and said while smiling, Celestial Master Zhang, it's been years. Zhang Xuanqing's expression kept changing. Thunder King, aren't you in closed-door cultivation all year round? Why are you here at the Longmen Convention today? Of course, I'm here to kill Mad Southern Yi. Lei Feihu laughed ferociously. Not only did this person kill Brother Shin's son, but he also killed my son. How can I not be here with such hatred? The crowd gasped as soon as that was said. Mad Southern Yi killed the Thunder King's son too? If they were shocked by the news of Shen Tiannan's son being killed by Mad Southern Yi, they almost fainted when they heard that Mad Southern Yi had also killed the Thunder King's son. He killed 2 overlords' sons in one go. How lawless and out of control! Now that the 2 overlords were here together, even if Mad Southern Yi was the ancient martial arts world #1, it would be difficult for him to withstand the rage of the 2 overlords, right? The outcome has been decided. Yuan Shitai closed his eyes slightly. Shen Tiannan and Lei Feihu are working together. Mad Southern Yi will definitely die this time. China is going to change. This Mad Southern Yi is really something. He just had to kill someone else's sons. Moreover, he killed 2 of them at once. Isn't he courting death? Yu Lian said in disappointment. Now, even she did not have any hope for Mad Southern Yi. After hearing Lei Feihu's words, Zhang Xuanqing's hand that was holding the horsetail whisk trembled violently, but he couldn't say anything else. All he could feel was shock. At that moment, Shen Tiannan, who had been silent all this while, looked at him with a burning gaze. Celestial Master Zhang, let me ask you something. Are you going to stop the both of us from avenging our son? Lei Feihu also looked at him fiercely. Zhang Xuanqing's cultivation base was on par with Shen Tiannan's. If he stood on Mad Southern Yi's side, the outcome would be unpredictable. Forget it, forget it. This is Mad Southern Yi's fault. Although I want to resolve this, there's nothing I can do. Zhang Xianqing sighed softly as he met the duo's gaze. His Dragon Tiger Mountain had nothing to do with Mad Southern Yi. There was no need for him to risk his life to face the wrath of the 2 powerhouses. Moreover, the revenge of his son was irreconcilable. It was only right and proper. That's great. A smile appeared on Shen Tiannan's grim face. Subsequently, he turned around and looked at the crowd in a condescending manner. Everyone, I'm sure you guys know about the grudge between the both of us and Mad Southern Yi. I won't drag innocent people into this. Don't worry. The people could not help but secretly sigh in relief upon hearing that. They were afraid that Shen Tiannan and Lei Feihu would vent their anger on them. Shen Tiannan changed the topic and said, Before coming here, I've received reliable news that Mad Southern Yi is also at the Longmen Convention. To be exact, he's at Shenangjia. However, I haven't seen Mad Southern Yi yet. Therefore, if anyone has seen Mad Southern Yi, please tell me where he is. I'll reward you handsomely. The Heavenly Palace received the news almost as soon as Yi Chen headed to Shenangjia. They then sent the news to Shen Tiannan. Apart from that, they arranged spies at all the exits at the foot of Shenangjia Mountain to monitor Yi Chen's every move. However, the people from the Heavenly Palace witnessed Yi Chen entering Shenangjia with their own eyes. He had never left, so he must be in Shenangjia. That was why Shen Tiannan asked that. That's right. If anyone tells me where he is, I'll reward you handsomely too. Lei Feihu said. Passion flashed through the people's eyes when they heard that. It was an opportunity to befriend the 2 overlords. However, what frustrated them was that they did not even know what Mad Southern Yi looked like, so how would they know where he was? Master Yuan, have you seen Mad Southern Yi before? Yu Lian, who was among the crowd, was curious too. Yuan Shitai could not help but smile when he heard that. I'd like to witness Mad Southern Yi's glory with my own eyes too. However, I've only heard of him, but I've never seen him. The few people standing next to him nodded lightly too. Then, this Mad Southern Yi is rather mysterious. Yu Lian took a good look at the people around, suspicion filling her eyes. She seemed to be looking for Mad Southern Yi. Yu Lei and Jiji were curious too. At that moment, Master Xiegu, who was among the crowd, spoke. Master Shen, Thunder King, nobody seems to know what Mad Southern Yi looks like. I wonder if you have a photo of him. Show it to us. Perhaps we've seen him before. Shen Tiannan nodded lightly and took out an iPad. He found a photo and showed it to the crowd. This is Mad Southern Yi. The people looked rather disappointed when they saw it. Initially, they thought Mad Southern Yi, the #1 in China's ancient martial arts world, would be the best no matter whether it was his charisma or his charisma. Never had they thought that he only had a mediocre appearance. It seemed like the rumors about Mad Southern Yi were exaggerated. Many of them secretly shook their heads. However, they did not notice that some of them were stunned when they saw the photo. Then, disbelief appeared on their faces. Gigi, who was among the crowd, seemed to have seen something terrifying. She covered her mouth and said softly, Isn't that Brother Yi?" At that moment Yu Lian, Yu Lei, Yuan Chitai, and Deng Chan were completely dumbstruck. The reason being the photo in Shin Tiannan's hand looked exactly the same as Yi Chen, including his nose, mouth, and eyes. Even his gaze seemed to be made from the same mold. How is that possible? Yu Lian's pretty face was blank. How could he be Mad Southern Yi? That's impossible. Shin Tianan must have gotten the wrong photo. Yes, that must be it. She could not be blamed for being unable to accept it. The Mad Southern Yi that she imagined and the Yi Chen she knew were two different. It was not an exaggeration to say that they were two different people. Sir Yi is Mad Southern Yi? Yu Lei gulped, finding it hard to accept. Deng Chan's pretty face changed when she saw Yi Chen's photo. She could not help but look at Yuan Chitai next to her. Grandpa Yuan Chitai said nothing. Although he had lived for most of his life and thought that he was calm and steady, his heart was racing at that moment. The blind old man standing next to him said, "What's wrong, old Yuan?" Yuan Chitai's lips quivered. Just when he was going to speak, he heard an extremely excited voice, "Master Shen, I've seen this man before." Chapter 434. The people looked toward the direction of the voice. They saw Master Shiegu walking out of the crowd. He could not hide the excitement on his face. "Shiegu, have you really seen Mad Southern Yi before? If you're telling the truth, I promise to teach you everything I know about spells. You must know that my spells aren't any weaker than the ones from Dragon Tiger Mountain." Shin Tianan was elated. Master Shiegu was over the moon. He said while clasping his fists, "Master Shin, are you sure you got the right photo?" He was still rather cautious. His reaction was just as exaggerated as Yu Lian and the rest when he saw Yi Chen's photo. His first thought was that Shin Tianan had gotten the wrong photo. Shin Tianan frowned, seeming to be upset. "It's definitely the right photo." "That's right," Master Shiegu said immediately, seeming to sense his impatience. "I've seen this person on my way here. He was with 2 men and 2 ladies." As soon as he said that, Yu Lian and the rest could not help but turn pale. They squeezed to the back by instinct, afraid that they would be recognized because the 2 men and 2 women that Rotten Bone mentioned were them. However, Shiegu found them in the crowd. He pointed and said, "Master Shun, it's these 3 people. They're with Mad Southern Yi." Everyone could not help but have their eyes on Yu Lian and the rest as soon as he said that. Yu Lian's face turned pale and she denied immediately, "No, you're lying. We don't know this person at all." This was going to cost him his life. How would she dare to admit it? Shin Tianan glanced at the 3 of them with a grim expression. He suspected that Shiegu was lying when he noticed that they were ordinary people with no cultivation base. Meanwhile, Gigi said by instinct in a panic, "That's right. We really don't know Brother Yi." The crowd gasped as soon as she was done speaking. Yu Lian and Yu Lei closed their eyes in despair one after another. "Silly girl, you could have just said that you don't know him. Why did you mention Brother Yi? Great, now you've confessed without being pressed." "Ah," Master Shiegu said while laughing out loud. "Did you hear that, Master Shin? They admitted it themselves. That proves that I'm not lying." It would not be an exaggeration to say that he was extremely excited. The 2 powerhouses had joined forces to kill Mad Southern Yi. However, Mad Southern Yi had disappeared at that moment. It meant that Mad Southern Yi was hiding, because he was afraid of Shin Tianan and Lei Feihu. As soon as Shin Tianan and Lei Feihu found Mad Southern Yi and killed him, they would naturally fulfill their promise. Xiegu's skill in spells would improve again. From then on, he would be the true number one in Tianan. It would not be an exaggeration to describe it as killing two birds with one stone. Mad Southern Yi, oh mad Southern Yi, you're courting death! A golden gleam shot out of Shin Tiannan's eyes as soon as he heard that. He leaped from the heaven altar and walked to Yulien and the other two slowly. He said in his deep voice, "Three kids, tell me where Mad Southern Yi is. If you tell the truth, this old man will let you off." Yulien could not help but shudder as he approached her. She stammered, He's dead." She hated Yi Chen to death now. This bastard, even in death, he still wants to implicate us. Humph. Shin Tianan scoffed. "Since you guys aren't going to tell me where Mad Southern Yi is, don't blame me for being merciless. Mad Southern Yi is dead? How is that possible?" To him, Yulien was lying. He stretched his arm out and formed a giant mysterious chi handprint in the air. He grabbed Yulien directly. Yulei wanted to fight by instinct, but he was shocked to find out that he could not move his limbs at all. It was as if he was under the immobilization spell. "Yi, you're going to kill us!" Yulien looked at the giant handprint blankly. She was in despair. Just when the giant handprint was about to touch Yulien, Yuan Chitai, who was standing aside, waved his arm and dissolved it. Although that was the case, he retreated a few steps back uncontrollably. "Master, are you all right?" Deng Chan held him up immediately. "I'm fine." Yuan Chitai was secretly shocked by Shin Tiannan's ability. He walked to Shin Tianan after waving and said with a soft sigh, "Banshan's leader, Yuan Chitai, greets Master Shin." "Banshan? Why? Are you stopping me?" Shin Tianan smiled in anger. Disdain filled his face. "I wouldn't dare." Yuan Chitai shook his head lightly and said while forcing a smile, "Master Shin, I've seen Mad Southern Yi before. Not long ago, I can prove that what this girl said is true." "Do you mean that Mad Southern Yi is really dead?" Shin Tiannan's expression was turning grim. Mad Southern Yi was the number one in China's ancient martial arts world. Who could kill him? Even when he was sparring with Lei Feihu, he had to rely on the demonic life reduction pill to have the confidence to fight him. Yuan Chitai said in his deep voice, "I don't know if he's dead or not, but I saw Mad Southern Yi being devoured by the lava with my own eyes." Subsequently, he told them about Yi Chen going into the sinkhole. "Sir Yi is really dead. The grudge between you and him has nothing to do with us. We're from the Fire Phoenix. You'll be going against the entire Fire Phoenix if you touch us," Yulei said, pretending to be calm. "Fire Phoenix? What's that?" Shin Tianan smirked. "A mere Fire Phoenix aside, I'd kill anyone from the Heavenly Palace even if they're standing before me. Since you guys said that Mad Southern Yi died in the lava, bring me there. I want to see him if he's alive, and I want to see his corpse if he's dead." He grabbed Yulien forcefully and glared at Yuan Chitai coldly. Yuan Chitai had no choice but to nod and lead the way. Lei Feihu and Zhang Xianqing followed behind him, and the rest of them followed at the very back of the group. When they arrived at the stone wall above the sinkhole, they realized that the lava had subsided. Although that was the case, the ground was scorching hot like a volcano. Meanwhile, the ground was scorched red. There was nothing else. Mad Southern Yi was really devoured by the lava? Shin Tianan looked at the ground below with a grim expression. There was fear on his face. Even he would not be able to last long in such a high temperature. He would die if he encountered the lava. "I'm not related to Mad Southern Yi, so there's no reason for me to lie to you. The reason why I helped this girl is because they're innocent," Yuan Chitai said in his deep voice. Yulien was afraid that Shin Tianan would attack her. She suppressed the fear within her and told him everything that happened when they brought Yi Chen to Shenangjia. She could not care less about the military secrets now. After all, her life mattered. Moreover, to her, Yi Chen was the one who caused all of this. There was no need for her to cover for him. Yulei's lips moved a few times, but he did not stop her in the end. Shin Tiannan's expression could not stop changing after hearing that. He could not help but look at Lei Feihu next to him. "Brother Lei, do you believe me?" "Most likely." Although Lei Feihu was unwilling to admit it, he nodded and said, "I don't think those 3 juniors dare to lie to us. Moreover, the temperature here is extremely high. Even if Mad Southern Yi is the #1 in China's ancient martial arts world, he'll die if he really encounters the lava. Brother Shin, since Mad Southern Yi is dead, the grudge between you and him is over. Let's drop this," Zhang Xianqing from Dragon Tiger Mountain said with a soft sigh. "The famous Mad Southern Yi died in the lava. What a tragedy! Mad Southern Yi is the only one in China throughout all these years. He might have become a martial venerable if he continued to grow. It's such a pity that he's dead now." "What's there to feel pity about? To me, it's good that he died. That devil has killed too many people, and he's finally getting his retribution." Meanwhile, the people behind him could not help but secretly shake their heads. They began discussing. There were those who felt sorry, those who sympathized, those who gloated, and those who were excited. Master Xiegu was over the moon. "Now I'm undoubtedly the #1 in Tiannan." Shin Tiannan seemed to be unwilling to give up. His face was filled with resentment. "I was planning to eat his flesh and drink his blood after I killed him. Now that brat is lucky." "Master Shin, since Mad Southern Yi is dead, it has nothing to do with us, right? Shouldn't you put me down now?" Yu Lian, who was in his hand, said while shaking. "Put you down?" Shin Tiannan grinned ferociously. "Sure, I'll put you down now." In the next second, he tossed Yu Lian to the sinkhole on the ground. Yuan Qitai and Zhang Xianqing could not stop him in time even if they wanted to. "No. I don't want to die," Yu Lian cried on the spot as fear filled her face. Never had she thought that Shin Tiannan would still want to kill her. "Sister Yu Lian." Yu Lian. Yu Lei and Gigi were stunned. The rest were shocked too. They did not expect Shin Tiannan to be so cruel. "Mad Southern Yi killed my son. Since you guys are related to him, die. Die with my son." Shin Tiannan was hysterical. He grabbed Yu Lei and Gigi again, and was going to toss them into the sinkhole like before. "Shin Tiannan, you're crossing the line." Zhang Xianqing was enraged. Just when he was going to attack, bang! A loud thud that sounded like a thunderclap came. Subsequently, the ground shook. The people looked shocked when they finally stabilized themselves. Even Shin Tiannan and Lei Feihu were no exception. "What happened? Is that an earthquake? Look at the sinkhole!" Someone screamed at that moment. The people looked immediately. The sinkhole that was unusually quiet earlier was shaking intensely, as if it was going to collapse at any time. In the next second, a gigantic flaming dragon shot out of the sinkhole that looked like a giant chimney. The flaming dragon was approximately 10 meters in diameter and 20 meters tall. The gigantic flame almost dyed the entire place red. The people looked at it in horror. Someone inhaled sharply all of a sudden and said, "Look, there seems to be a person on the flaming dragon's head. P.S. I've posted 3 chapters in a row. It's a little slow. Sorry for the wait. Thank you for your support." Chapter 435. At the sinkhole in Shenangjia. A giant dragon that was consolidated from flames soared into the sky. Its thunderous dragon roar echoed between heaven and earth. There was an indescribable pressure in the roar. Everyone on the stone wall was shocked from the bottom of their hearts under such pressure. They were horrified, and some of them could not help but kneel on the spot while calling it a miracle. "Look, there seems to be a person on the fire dragon's head." Everyone looked at the dragon's head while suppressing the fear in them. They could not help but be stunned in the next second. They saw a skinny silhouette on the gigantic dragon's head. There was a skinny silhouette faintly on the dragon's head. It was a young man in a Taoist robe. He had ordinary features, but he was standing on the dragon's head proudly with his arms behind his back at the moment. It was as if he was riding on the dragon to grab the moon. There was a terrifying pressure coming out of his body. The people shrieked and retreated when they looked at the person's eyes. Even Shen Tianan, Lei Feihu, and Zhang Xianqing, the three spell masters, were no exception. They felt a burning pain in their eyes. The reason being they noticed there were two balls of gigantic golden flames in the young man's eyes. The golden flames were burning deep in his pupils, and they were like two miniature suns that shone in the sky. Nobody dared to look at them directly. At that moment, the entire heaven and earth fell into dead silence. It was so silent that it was as if the 1,000 people present did not exist. There was only a skinny silhouette standing on the dragon's head. At this moment, everyone's hearts were trembling. Who exactly was that person? How could he ride a fire dragon and fly up from the sinkhole? "D God!" Gigi's face was blank as she subconsciously exclaimed. Usually, some powerhouses might laugh at her. However, nobody objected to it at that moment. They subconsciously thought that even if a person who possessed such pressure and technique was not a god, he was not much different from one. An origin energy powerhouse? The same thought flashed through Shen Tianan, Lei Feihu, and Zhang Xuanqing's heads at the same time. They could not help but inhale sharply. Only the legendary origin energy realm martial artists were not afraid of fire. Led by Yuan Chitai, the four major sects of tomb raiding suddenly changed their expressions, and their emotions fluctuated non-stop. It seemed that Fakia lineage was right. There was indeed a big tomb under the sinkhole, and the person in front of them was obviously an expert from the tomb. Zhang Xianqing of Mount Longhu hurriedly bowed to the figure in the sky, cupped his fists and said, "Junior Zhang Kadi of Mount Longhu greets Senior. We didn't know that Senior was living in seclusion here, so we didn't mean to disturb you. Please forgive us." He bowed down completely. "I'm Shen Tianan from Hong Kong. Greetings, sir. I am Lei Feihu from Hong Kong. Nice to meet you." Shen Tianan and Lei Feihu cupped their fists and bowed respectfully. Subsequently, everyone, including Yuan Chitai, knelt on one knee. Although they couldn't see the young man's face clearly. But that was no longer important. Most importantly, he was suspected to be the legendary origin energy powerhouse, and there had never been an origin energy powerhouse in China for hundreds of years. In front of such a powerhouse, they were all juniors, so it was normal for juniors to bow to their seniors. However, at that moment, a voice that was filled with shock and disbelief came. "Yi, why you're not dead?" It was Yu Lian who spoke. At that moment, disbelief was written all over her face. After Shen Tianan tossed her into the sinkhole, she was less than 100 meters away from it. Therefore, she was the closest to the young man on the fire dragon. Although Yi Chen had changed his clothes, she recognized him eventually. But in the end, she still recognized him. As her voice was heard, everyone was stunned. Everyone present was instantly stunned, and after a moment, the expressions on their faces were completely replaced by astonishment and disbelief. "Brother Yi! Sir Yi? He's Mad Southern Yi. How is that possible? He's not dead. Mad Southern Yi?" Shen Tianan's body shook, as if he had been struck by lightning. "How is that possible?" Lei Feihu could not help but shriek in shock. "Didn't they say that Mad Southern Yi died in the lava? How is it possible that he's not dead? Furthermore, he was even worshipped by them as the legendary origin energy realm martial artist. Especially Shen Tianan, his face was twitching. He was going crazy. Impossible. How could he be Mad Southern Yi? Facing the people's shock, the young man in the air turned around slightly. He had his eyes on Yu Lian, who was flying toward him. He smiled lightly and his voice came into her ears slowly. "I'm sorry to scare you guys." As soon as he was done speaking, he waved at Yu Lian. He waved his hand at Yu Lian, and Yu Lian realized that she had landed on the fire dragon's head in the blink of an eye. What shocked her the most was that the fire dragon's flames seemed to have received some kind of order and dispersed. Looking at the face that she thought was ugly at such a close distance, Yu Lian's heart was in a mess. She stammered, "Why don't worry. Nobody can hurt you guys with me here." Yi Chen chuckled softly. The fire dragon beneath his feet dispersed one after another after a furious roar. Meanwhile, he landed on the ground slowly while carrying Yu Lian. Just like that, everyone could finally see his facial features clearly. "It's really Big Brother Yi. Big Brother Yi, it's great that you're alright." Gigi clenched her fists, her face flushed red from excitement. Yulei looked at Yi Chen blankly as if he was dreaming. He stammered, "Sir Yi." "Mad Southern Yi," as soon as he landed. Yulian ran behind Yulei immediately. She then looked at the skinny silhouette far away with an odd feeling in her heart. That incomparably ordinary face seemed to occupy her heart at this moment. It was irreplaceable. That frail back was as vast and steady as a mountain. At this moment, she finally understood why the captain asked her and Yu Lian to listen to Yi Chen's orders since the beginning. She also understood why the captain had no emotional changes after knowing that Yi Chen was buried in the lava. "I didn't expect that there would be a day when this old man would be blind." Yuan Chitai's lower lip quivered as bitterness filled his face. Meanwhile, Deng Chan, who was next to him, bit her lip hard. Her pretty face was blank. Before this, they thought Yi Chen was just an ordinary person. They did not bother to pay attention to such a person. However, not only was he the number one in China's ancient martial arts world, Mad Southern Yi, but he did not die even though he was buried in the lava. Just when the people were having mixed feelings, an extremely venomous and crazy voice echoed through heaven and earth. "Mad Southern Yi, you killed my son, Xingye. You must pay with your life today." Shin Tiannan's hair was dancing in the wind while his eyes were bloodshot. His eyes were filled with extreme killing intent when he looked at Yi Chen like a demon that had gone mad. "Mad Southern Yi, you killed my son, Lei Kan. As the saying goes, revenge for my son's death is irreconcilable. Even if you're an origin energy powerhouse, I'll tear you into pieces." Lei Feihu took a step forward as the aura on his body exploded. The intense pressure and killing intent almost covered the entire place. The people's scalps tingled while their hearts were pounding. Even the celestial master of Dragon Tiger Mountain, Zhang Xianqing, was no exception. Such powerful killing intent. Was this Shin Tiannan and Lei Feihu's true ability? Yi Chen stood with his arms behind his back facing the duo. He looked at them extremely coldly as a smirk appeared at the corner of his lips. "You two old dogs, I've been waiting for you guys for a long time." Chapter 436. "You two old dogs, I've been waiting for you guys for a long time." As soon as Yi Chen was done speaking, everyone present could not help but be stunned. Everyone present could not help but be stunned, and an extremely strange feeling surged in their hearts. "You two old dogs," one must know that he was facing Shin Tiannan and Lei Feihu, the two powerhouses that were hard to come by in China in 100 years. They were known as the pillars of the ancient martial arts world and the spell world respectively. Even Zhang Xianqing from Dragon Tiger Mountain had to treat them with respect. However, Yi Chen had called them old dogs. "You're so arrogant." Shin Tiannan's long hair danced in the wind as he said while smiling in rage, "I don't care if you're an origin energy powerhouse or not. Shenangjia will be your burial ground today. Don't worry, I won't let anyone who's related to you go." Yulei, Yulian, and the rest could not help but turn pale as soon as they heard that because Shin Tiannan clearly included them. "That's right," Lei Feihu said while smiling in a creepy manner. "I'm afraid you have no idea. I've sent all of my godson to Tiannan. They'll send your family to reunite with you after you die." "Are you the 13 gangsters?" Zhang Xuanqing's expression changed. Rumor had it that Lei Feihu had 13 godson. They were known as the 13 gangsters. Lei Feihu had adopted them since they were young, and they were ranked from Lei 1 to Lei 13. Each of them had the cultivation base of a martial Dao master, and their ability could rank the top 3 on the heaven leaderboard. If all 13 of them were to fight, they could destroy a small country. Never had they thought that Lei Feihu would send all of them to fight Yi Chen's family. The Yi family aside, even the entire Tianan would be destroyed. That's right. Lei Feihu scoffed. He could not help but look at Yi Chen as he spoke, trying to see something from his face. He thought it would be best to anger Yi Chen so that he would expose himself. However, Yi Chen's expression remained the same. However, the golden flames in his eyes flickered intensely a few times. Very well. Since you guys want to die, I'll send you guys on your way today. I'll go to Hong Kong and kill your ancestors' graves after this. He was not worried about the safety of his parents, wife, and daughter. The reason being, Lin Tai and Yang Tian, his cultivation base was on par with a martial Dao master. Apart from that, he had the Patriarch of Hell and Iron Tower to protect Su Yuhan. But he was also angry. That was because dragons had reverse scales, and those who touched them would die. Seeing that a great battle was about to break out, Zhang Xianqing hurriedly said, "Wait, the three of you, this penniless Taoist does not wish to interfere in the grudges between you three, but this penniless Taoist has to be responsible for the safety of the people here. Once the three of you start fighting, it will definitely affect them. Why don't you change places?" The Longmen Convention was organized by Mount Longhu. If everyone present died, Mount Longhu would not be able to escape the public's wrath. Shen Tianan frowned. "I don't mind. They'll die no matter where they go." Yi Chen smiled lightly. "All right, then please move to the Blackwater River." Zhang Xianqing secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Daijiu Lake. It was the most representative and most valuable lake in Shenangjia. Rumor had it that after Shennong tasted all kinds of herbs, he set up 9 cauldrons here to boil medicine. Later, the 9 cauldrons turned into 9 lakes, which was why it was named the Great Nine Lake. Meanwhile, mountains surrounded it like a natural barrier that surrounded the Great Nine Lake. There were 9 mountains that were rather eye-catching. From afar, they looked like 9 dragons fighting for nectar. On the Blackwater River next to the Great Nine Lake, Yi Chen stood proudly on the river. Yi Chen stood on the river proudly. There were 2 silhouettes with terrifying auras standing 100 steps away from him. They were Shen Tianan and Lei Feihu. Both of them glared at Yi Chen, and their killing intent was growing. Meanwhile, up to 1,000 people on the hills around the Blackwater River, including Yu Lian, Yuan Qitai, and Zhang Xianqing, looked like they were petrified. Heaven and earth fell into silence. Gazes that were mixed with various emotions were cast towards the river. Everyone's heart was filled with anticipation and nervousness. The reason being 3 powerhouses who stood on the top of China were about to fight. One of them was a legend in Hong Kong's spell world. It would not be an exaggeration to call him a legend in China's spell world. The other was an ancient martial artist who had conquered the world 50 years ago. Both of them were big shots who could shake Hong Kong and China with just a stomp of their feet. Meanwhile, Mad Southern Yi, the number 1 in China, was about to fight the both of them. This had never happened in China in the past 100 years. Therefore, everyone's eyes were burning at that moment. They were secretly anticipating whether Mad Southern Yi would fight the 2 powerhouses on his own and continue his legend, or whether Shen Tianan and Lei Feihu would kill him. No matter who won, it would change the situation in China. Yu Lian took a good look at Yi Chen, who was on the river. She turned her head and asked Yuan Qitai next to her, "Master Yuan, do you think Mad Southern Yi will win?" One could say that she had the most complicated emotions among them. On one hand, she could not accept the fact that Yi Chen was Mad Southern Yi. On the other hand, she was afraid that Yi Chen would lose because Shen Tianan had said that they would not be able to escape if Yi Chen died. What she said caught many people's attention immediately. Yuan Qitai hesitated and said, "It's hard to say. After all, this has never happened in China before. However, to me, I think Shen Tianan and Lei Feihu have a higher chance of winning." "That's right. No matter how powerful Yi Chen's ability is, he'll be attacked from the front and back. It'll be difficult for him to fight them." Zhang Xian from Dragon Tiger Mountain nodded lightly and said with a grim expression, "Moreover, Shen Tianan is an expert in alchemy. He can recover his and Lei Feihu's cultivation base anytime. Mad Southern Yi won't be far from death as soon as his true energy is drained." Yu Lian's face turned pale. She could not help but glance at Yi Chen, who was on the river. Resentment rose within her. "We're really going to die because of you. Brother Yi is the most powerful." Gigi did not think that much. She shouted at the river in admiration, "Brother Yi, all the best. I believe in you." "The most powerful?" Master Xiegu, who was standing aside, scoffed. "Didn't you hear what Celestial Master Zhang said? Mad Southern Yi won't be able to escape death today." Gigi wanted to argue with him by instinct, but Yu Lian stopped her. "All right, even Celestial Master Zhang doesn't have high hopes for him. Gigi, let's just accept our fate." Above the Heishui River, Shen Tianan heard the conversation between Master Xiegu, Zhang Xian, and the rest. He said to Yi Chen with resentment written all over his face, "Mad Southern Yi, did you hear that? Nobody has high hopes for you. Even your own people don't believe in you. To me, the both of you are dead." Yi Chen shook his head extremely coldly. The golden flames in his eyes were getting more intense as he mumbled, "I've refined the golden pupil flame. I might as well sacrifice you guys to my divinity today." At that moment, a noise came from far away. The people looked toward the direction of the noise and could not help but exclaim, "What's that?" There was an African elephant walking slowly downstream of the Heishui River. The elephant was standing on the river, showing no signs of falling at all. Meanwhile, an old man with blue hair and blue eyes was sitting on its back. The old man wore a long golden robe, and there was a necklace made of skulls hanging on his neck. A man and an elephant walked slowly over the river. As the elephant moved forward, wisps of white mist slowly rose under its feet. Looking again, as soon as the elephant's feet landed on the river, a thick layer of ice formed on the river's surface. Seeing this, everyone's faces were filled with shock. That was an African elephant. An adult African elephant weighed more than 5 tons, but it carried a person without falling. Who was this person? How could he be so terrifying? The elephant stopped when it was less than 20 meters away from Yi Chen, Shen Tianan, and the other two. When they looked again, the 10-mile river behind it had turned into a frozen river. As the elephant neighed, the golden-robed old man on it suddenly opened his eyes. Lightning flashed in his eyes. "Mad Southern Yi, you killed my disciple, Marva. I, Basha, am here for you today." As soon as he said that, Mount Longhu's Zhang Xuanqing's expression changed abruptly. He sucked in a breath of cold air and said, "What? It's Basha. That old monster didn't die." Chapter 437. In an ordinary teahouse in Beijing, 2 people were sitting by the window on the 3rd floor at the moment. They were an old man and a young man in black. There was a chessboard before them, and the game was in the shape of a dragon and a tiger. If someone who was good at Go was there, they would realize that the young man with the black chess piece had the upper hand. "Senior brother, your celestial dragon chess technique seems weak in front of my black tiger chess technique." The young man in black revealed a victorious expression at the corner of his lips. He placed a black chess piece and severed the dragon's tail that was condensed by the white chess piece. The old man placed a chess piece as well and intercepted the tiger's claw that was condensed by the black chess piece. Subsequently, he said calmly, "I've trapped your tiger's claw too. Without it, what's the difference between a tiger and a sick cat? Junior brother, if this goes on, both of us will be injured. Why don't we call a draw?" "A draw?" The young man smirked in disdain. "In my world, there's only winning and losing. There's no such thing as a draw. Senior brother, you're really old. You're blind from old age. You didn't see the chess piece that I buried earlier." At the end of his sentence, he placed another chess piece on the dragon's body. The dragon's tail was severed, and it was nailed to the spot where it was supposed to be. The winner had been decided. The old man's expression changed slightly. Just when he was about to speak, hurried footsteps came from downstairs. Subsequently, a valiant lady walked quickly to his side and whispered into his ear. After she left, the old man took a good look at the young man in black. His hand that was holding the chess piece trembled slightly. "Junior brother, I've underestimated your bottom line. I can't believe that you've let that old monster Basha come to China just to deal with mad Southern Yi. I think you've really gone mad." The table in front of him shattered into two as he spoke. He stood up abruptly as if he wanted to leave. "Senior brother, your opponent is me." The moment he turned around, the young man in black slammed his palm out. At the same time, in Shenangjia, everyone stared blankly at the elephant and the man on the Black River. They felt their breathing quicken as they were shocked by the man's divinity. Meanwhile, Zhang Xianqing from Dragon Tiger Mountain stared deadly at the old man in the golden robe on the elephant. He was shocked. Basha. He was a cultivator from Russia and was known as the King of Yakutsk. Yakutsk was an ice city located on the banks of the Lena River in Russia. It was built on permafrost and very close to the Arctic Ocean. The city had a population of 300,000, and Basha was the uncrowned king of Yakutsk. This was because in World War II, he had withstood a hail of bullets and even the destructive attacks of tanks and bombers. He had single-handedly annihilated a regular division of the enemy with more than 10,000 soldiers. He was known as the European meat grinder. The East had ancient warriors and mystic masters, while the West had awakened ones. The specific realms were the shackled realm, the mortal evolution realm, and above them was the God realm, which was equivalent to the origin energy realm and martial venerable realm in the East. At that time, even the enemy's intercontinental missiles could not kill him, and Basha was known as the strongest person below the God state in Russia. This showed how terrifying such a person was. He did not expect mad Southern Yi to offend such a person. Ha ha ha! Just when the people were stunned, a hysterical laugh shook the entire river. Shin Tianan looked at Yi Chen with endless mockery in his eyes. "Mad Southern Yi, oh mad Southern Yi! I can't believe you've even lured Basha here. This is just too shocking. It seems like you're destined to die today." Lei Feihu clasped his fists at Basha, who was on the giant elephant. He said with a fearful expression, "Sir Basha, since the three of us have the same goal, why don't we work together to kill mad Southern Yi?" Both of them had heard of Basha's legend. As soon as he said that, Zhang Xianqing of Dragon Tiger Mountain said immediately, "Thunder King, you can't do that. You're muddle-headed. Basha is not from China. As the saying goes, those who are not of our race must have different intentions. All of you should stop fighting with mad Southern Yi and work together against the enemy." His words immediately won the approval of many people. That's right. Those who aren't of our race definitely have different intentions. We Chinese can settle our own grudges behind closed doors. There's no need for those foreign monkeys to interfere. However, Lei Feihu scoffed, facing the people's discussion. "Righteousness of our race? That's bullsh*t. My son was killed. As long as I can kill mad Southern Yi, righteousness of our race aside, I'll even change my nationality." "Sir Basha, what do you think?" Shin Tianan asked. Basha, who was on the giant elephant, grinned. "Sure. It's over. It's really over now." Yulian's body shuddered and she could not help but cry in despair. She did not have high hopes that Yi Chen could defeat Shin Tianan and Lei Feihu. Now that there was another expert who wanted to kill Yi Chen, it was hopeless for him to fight two, let alone three. "No, brother, Yi won't," Gigi cried on the spot. Yuan Chitai could not stop shaking his head. Master Xiegu was over the moon. At that moment, even those who had high hopes for Yi Chen had lost their hope. After all, they had experienced Basha's ability. The tip of the iceberg was already so terrifying, let alone when he attacked with his full strength. No matter what, Mad Southern Yi was dead. Looking at Basha, who appeared out of nowhere, Yi Chen stood proudly on the river with his arms behind his back. He said in disdain, "You're just a bunch of barbarians from overseas. How dare you do whatever you want in China? You three pieces of trash, come at me together. Why should I, Mad Southern Yi, be afraid? I'm invincible in China. Kill!" Shen Tianan shrieked, causing the river beneath his feet to shake. A strong wind blew from the ground, causing the long robe on his body to flutter. At the same time, a glaring blue glow exploded from his body, causing heaven and earth to change color. He used his trump card as soon as he attacked. Although there were 3 people on his side, he was cautious. He dared not underestimate Yi Chen. It would be fine if he did not attack, but he would definitely attack as soon as he attacked. The next moment, 2 streams of black, ferocious energy that looked like dragons shot out of his sleeves. As he performed hand seals with both hands, the black ferocious energy gathered on his fingertips directly. The entire process was done in one go, and it was as fast as lightning. As expected of Shen Tianan. It's no wonder that he's the #1 in Hong Kong's spell world with his ability to form a formation with a single thought and perform hand seals in the air. Zhang Xuanqing's expression was serious as he exclaimed. At Shen Tianan's level, he could perform all kinds of spells in the world with ease. He could form thousands of hand seals with a single thought. There was no need to accumulate power or perform a spell at all. That was the reason why top-notch spell masters were no weaker than ancient martial artists. Rumble. Subsequently, everyone saw something that they would never forget for the rest of their lives. Within 20 meters with Shen Tianan as the center, there was a ferocious aura that covered the sky. The black river beneath his feet was shaking and boiling. It seemed like it could not fight the supreme aura. Meanwhile, Shen Tianan was in the middle of the ferocious aura. His white hair was dancing in the wind, and his clothes were fluttering. He looked like the messenger of destruction from the west had arrived. A terrifying power exploded from his right finger. 3 officials killer finger, kill everyone with 1 finger. Die, Mad Southern Yi. P.S. There are more chapters after the first chapter. I'm still writing them. I'd like to recommend a book from a friend. It's called The Devil King of the City by Happier Heo. You can read it if you can't wait. Chapter 438. 3 officials killer finger. Kill everyone with 1 finger. Die now, Mad Southern Yi. As soon as Shen Tianan was done speaking, an extremely dense black glow exploded from his hand. Subsequently, a gigantic, pitch-black finger shot into the sky. It was like a godfiend's finger, filled with endless killing intent and ferocity. An energy wave that made one's scalp go numb slowly spread from it. The river beneath Shen Tianan's feet, and even the space around him turned into nothingness, as if everything had turned into nothingness. Is that Shen Tianan's famous 3 officials killer finger? Yuan Chitai, who was watching the battle, immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. Even though he was far away, he could still feel the monstrous killing intent coming from the huge pitch-black finger. It practically caused all the hairs on his body to stand on end. It was vile energy that was like poison. Ordinary people would turn into a pile of bones as soon as they came into contact with it. Since that was the case, the rest could not help but feel their scalps go numb. They looked at Shen Tianan in shock. Was that Shen Tianan's true ability? Only today did they truly understand how terrifying Shen Tianan was. He was indeed a legend in Hong Kong's spell world. That's terrifying. Yu Lian and Gigi's faces turned pale as fear filled their faces. In the next second, the gigantic, pitch-black finger that looked like the finger of a god or demon tore through the river and space as it charged toward Yi Chen. If one were to look closely, they would notice that the gigantic black finger was filled with veined patterns. It was like a cage that sealed off Yi Chen's escape. Yi Chen's expression remained unchanged facing the attack. He chuckled softly and subsequently opened his mouth to suck hard at the gigantic black finger that was charging at him. World-engulfing whale. It was an additional technique that Yi Chen had obtained after breaking through to foundation building. He could absorb any energy between heaven and earth, including vile energy and vile energy. Those things were extremely poisonous to ordinary people, but they were nourishment to Yi Chen. His stomach bulged slightly as if he had an electric motor installed in it. It was moving rhythmically as a powerful suction came out of his mouth. As everyone watched in a daze, the giant black finger began to disintegrate when it was about to reach Yi Chen. It was as if it was attacked by a strong wind. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a black airflow and was sucked into Yi Chen's mouth. At this moment, the heavens and the earth were deathly silent. Countless people were shocked to the point their eyeballs almost popped out. What? Shin Tianan took a step back in shock. He looked like he had just seen a ghost. Lei Feihu and Basha from Russia rubbed their eyes. They could not believe what they had just seen. That was Shin Tianan's three officials' killer finger. It was made by extracting the vile energy between heaven and earth. Even Zhang Xianqing, Lei Feihu, and the rest dared not take it head-on. However, Yi Chen had swallowed it in one gulp. Yulian was stunned. She could not believe it. Burp! Yi Chen burped and said to Shin Tianan after refining it in his body quickly, "Do you have more? More? It's not satisfying enough." "Why you?" Shin Tianan was shocked and furious. "That's it? Then, I'll give you something too." Yi Chen shook his head lightly and opened his mouth to spit. A black spear shot out of his mouth. The spear was approximately 3 to 5 meters long, and it was filled with a terrifying vile energy. As it flew out, it brought a black waterfall and a sonic boom in the air. Eventually, it charged at Shin Tianan. Oh no! Shin Tianan's expression changed drastically. He stretched his arm out and tore the necklace on his chest. It was a necklace made of 81 black beads. He performed a hand seal as soon as he held the necklace in his hand and tossed it above his head. The necklace emitted a golden glow that covered his entire body. He looked like a bronze bell from far away. It was a magic tool that he had cultivated in the Jokhang Temple according to the Buddhist mantra. Moreover, it was a protective magic tool that could block bullets, water, and fire. However, the black spear did not stop at all when it collided with the golden barrier before him in the next second. It pierced through his armpit directly. Shin Tianan groaned and retreated countless steps back. When he finally managed to stop, he realized that his right arm, which was close to his armpit, was showing his white bones. The flesh on it was completely corroded. Gasp! Everyone who had been watching exclaimed at the same time. Shin Tianan was at a disadvantage as soon as the fight began. It was completely out of everyone's expectations. Even Lei Feihu and Basha did not expect it. Cough, cough, cough. Shin Tianan coughed intensely a few times. There was deep fear in his eyes when he looked at Yi Chen. Mad Southern Yi, you managed to devour my 3 officials' killer finger with your body alone. You deserve to be the #1 in China's ancient martial arts world based on that alone. Unfortunately, you're just an ancient martial artist. You don't understand how powerful a spell master is. That's right, Mad Southern Yi. You're only relying on brute force. You have no idea how powerful our spells are. If you're willing to kneel and destroy your cultivation base now, we might leave your body in one piece, Basha from Russia said compassionately while riding on an elephant. Who told you guys that I'm an ancient martial artist? However, Yi Chen smiled in disdain. Lei Feihu could not help but scoff. What? Don't tell me that not only are you an ancient martial artist, but you're also a spell master who cultivates both spells and martial arts? Master Shigu laughed out loud as soon as he said that. Mad Southern Yi, stop pretending. Rumor has it that you're the Master Yi who can control lightning. It's just a rumor. Do you really think you know spells and abilities? If you're a spell master, I'll chop my head off and give it to you. The rest nodded one after another. Yulien hesitated and said to Yi Chen while looking at him, "Sir Yi, I know that you're very powerful, but you're facing 3 people now. 2 of them know spells. Why don't you destroy your cultivation base and apologize to Master Shen and the rest? You might be able to keep your life that way." Although Yi Chen had the upper hand, Yulien still did not believe him. To her, Lei Feihu and Basha had yet to fight. Yulien. Yulei looked at her in slight disbelief and scolded. Yulien looked at her with a strange expression on her face. Never had the duo thought that Yulien would persuade Sir Yi to destroy his cultivation base to survive. They were not kids anymore. If he destroyed his cultivation base, would he not be a fish on the chopping board that anyone could do whatever they wanted? "Brother, I want to say it." Yulien ignored his stare and proceeded to speak. "Sir Yi, we have nothing to do with you. You should take responsibility for the trouble that you caused yourself. Don't drag us into it." "Did you hear that, Mad Southern Yi?" Shen Tianan said while grinning hideously. "Destroy your cultivation base now and kneel down to repent. You're talking nonsense even though you've lost to me." Yi Chen remained unmoved. He said proudly, "That's great. I'll show you guys what real spells and abilities look like today. P.S. I'm writing one more chapter. Chapter 439. Are you going to show us your spells?" Master Shiegu looked like he had just heard the funniest joke in the world. "Mad Southern Yi, I'll say this again. If you really know spells, I'll cut my head off and give it to you without a second thought." Yulien secretly shook her head. "You're still acting tough at a time like this. Is it that hard to admit defeat?" Yi Chen glanced expressionlessly at Master Shiegu, who was smiling the most exaggeratedly. "Sure, I'll take your head. I'll leave it on your neck for now." Yi Chen slapped the sky with one hand as soon as he was done speaking. He slapped the sky with one hand and shouted, "Wind, rise!" Master Shigu's heart sank when he saw how confident he was. He had a bad feeling about this. Could this brat really be a spell master? The rest could not help but look around. They dared not even breathe loudly. Even Shen Tianan and the other 2 were the same. However, 10 seconds passed. It was still the same. The river was as calm as a mirror. The people could not help but look at each other. Ha ha ha! A series of hysterical laughter broke the silence. Master Shiegu was laughing so hard that he was shaking. "What a great wind rising! What a great wind rising! Mad Southern Yi, you really look like a rookie playing basketball when you're acting so serious." Even Yulien could not help but laugh out loud. She looked at Yi Chen while laughing and could not help but shake her head. Yulei and Gigi looked awkward. "Since you're so stubborn, it's time to end this." Shen Tianan shook his head and said to Lei Feihu and Basha, who were standing aside, "Guys, let's do it. Let's end this as soon as possible." Lei Feihu and Basha nodded lightly. Just when they were going to attack, they heard someone exclaim, "Look! What's that?" The people looked at where he was pointing. They saw a black silhouette coming from the mountains around the Great Jiu Lake. From far away, it looked like dark clouds were gathering. Meanwhile, a giant wave that was over 30 meters tall was stirred at the downstream of the Heishui River. The giant wave rumbled like a tsunami. "Oh no, it's a hurricane!" Zhang Xianqing of Mount Longhu squinted his eyes. Lightning flashed in his pupils as he sucked in a breath of cold air. As soon as he finished speaking, all of a sudden, a strong gust of wind blew in from all directions. Wherever the gust of wind passed, the weeds on the ground would be toppled. Countless trees would fall to the ground and huge waves would appear on the surface of the Blackwater River. Everyone's expression changed. They felt that their bodies were about to lose their balance in this gust of wind. They could not help but reach out to grab the obstacles beside them. "Ah!" Yulien screamed. The clothes in front of her chest burst open, and she was rolled up. Yuan Chitai grabbed her immediately. Meanwhile, countless waves gathered at Yi Chen on the Heishui River. It was like a whale spitting water. Shen Tianan and the other two felt their scalps tingle as they leaped into the air immediately. At this moment, the entire Great Nine Lake was surrounded by a hurricane. It was like a huge fan blowing crazily towards the ground. He really knows sorcery. Immortal means, it's the real immortal means. Motherf ***, is he still human? At that moment, countless people blankly stared at Yi Chen, who was in the middle of the hurricane. It was as if they had seen a ghost, and they were shaking in fear. This. Shen Tiannan's face was filled with shock. Lei Feihu was dumbstruck while Basha's expression froze. Master Xiegu rubbed his eyes in disbelief. He had mocked Yi Chen for not knowing sorcery earlier, but Yi Chen really summoned wind in the blink of an eye. Moreover, it was a hurricane. Is that enough? If not, I have more. Yi Chen shouted again, lightning come. Rumble. A loud thud came in the air. A giant lightning arc streaked over everyone's head. It charged at Shen Tianan, Lei Feihu, and Basha with 3 white gleams. Oh no! The trio's pupils shrunk. Shen Tianan took out a black umbrella and opened it to cover him. He shouted furiously, "Brother Lei, get in now!" Lei Feihu flew in immediately. He wished he had an extra pair of legs. Basha from Russia roared and jumped into the river without saying a word. His movements were like that of a professional diver. Rumble! 3 bolts of lightning struck. Basha's elephant shrieked and was the first to be struck into ashes. Meanwhile, Shen Tiannan's big black umbrella exploded intensely. The electric current that came out of it struck both of them to the ground. The next moment, there was a loud noise on the surface of the river, and countless waves were set off. Such a scene looked as if there were more than a dozen bombers dropping bombs into the river. After the lightning and hurricane faded, the entire river was in a mess. At that moment, heaven and earth fell into dead silence. Everyone's eyes widened as they stared dumbfoundedly at the scene in front of them. To be more precise, they were staring at the man in front of them. The power of nature between heaven and earth actually came and went at his whim. Yulian was so shocked that she could not speak. Bang! 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 The river was boiling all of a sudden. Subsequently, 3 clumsy silhouettes leaped out of the water. They were Shen Tianan and the other 2. They're still alive? Surprise flashed through Yi Chen's face, but he came to a realization soon after. Shen Tianan and the other 2 were top powerhouses in the world after all. Moreover, 2 of them were spellmasters. It was normal for them to have some life-saving techniques such as magic tools. Mad Southern Yi! A roar that was filled with endless rage was heard. Shen Tianan looked at Yi Chen with messy hair. You forced me to do this! You forced me to do this! He took out a medicinal pill and popped it into his mouth. Meanwhile, Lei Feihu did the same. As soon as they swallowed the medicinal pill, their bodies aged rapidly. Their skin shriveled, and they looked like mummies within the blink of an eye. At the same time, an aura that was even more powerful than before exploded from their bodies. The aura filled heaven and earth without hiding it at all. Countless people could not help but kneel on the spot. They were secretly shocked. Longhu Mountain's Zhang Xianqing wanted to resist this pressure, but the joints in his body made cracking sounds. He fell to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was filled with shock. This is the aura of an origin energy realm and a martial venerable. The people gasped as soon as they heard that. Origin energy and martial venerable. One was above illuminating God, while the other was above martial Tao master. However, how did the duo become so powerful all of a sudden? Mad Southern Yi, I didn't plan to use it. You've forced me to do this. You've forced me to do this. Shen Tianan soared, and his aura caused the river to sink directly. Eventually, endless seawater spread to the shore, drowning a large patch of grass. Ha ha ha! Lei Feihu spat blood out, but he could not stop the madness on his face. Mad Southern Yi, I have to say that you've really shocked us. We're so shocked that we're even afraid of you. Not only are you amazing in martial Dao, but you're also amazing in spell Dao. However, I bet you didn't expect us to have a backup plan too. Today, one of our combat strength is on par with an origin energy, while the other's combat strength is on par with a martial venerable. You won't be able to escape death. P.S. We'll continue tomorrow. Chapter 440. At that moment, Shun Tianan and Lei Feihu hovered in the air. Endless suppression covered the ground like an ocean. The people watching below could not help but shake. They usually called themselves cultivators and thought that they had surpassed mortals. They treated ordinary people like ants. However, under Shin Tianan and Lei Feihu's suppression, they truly felt what it meant to be an ant. Yi Chen stepped into the air and looked at the duo coldly. Yi Chen stepped into the air and looked at the two of them coldly. You guys merely consumed forbidden medicine to forcefully increase your cultivation base. Even so, I can still kill you guys like killing chickens. As the few of them were talking, an old silhouette flew far away. Shin Tiannan's eyes turned cold as he said coldly, Basha, if you dare to take another step back, the both of us will kill you today. Basha's expression changed. He stopped walking immediately and said, Shin Tianan, both of your abilities are enough to kill Mad Southern Yi. I don't want to get involved in this anymore. Before coming, he did not expect Yi Chen to be not only an ancient martial artist but also a spell master who was proficient in spells. What happened to Shin Tianan and Lei Feihu shocked him even more. At this point, he no longer wanted to care about his disciple's death. All he wanted was to stay alive. After all, no matter if Mad Southern Yi, Shin Tianan, or Lei Feihu won, he would not end well. Humph! Lei Feihu scoffed and looked at Basha in a condescending manner. Basha, rumor has it that you've been living in Yakutsk for over 60 years. You've even cultivated the ultimate freeze method with the help of Ice City. As long as you perform the ultimate freeze method, the both of us will let you go. Basha's expression changed as soon as he heard that. Basha's expression changed drastically. He did not expect the two of them to know about his trump card. Yakutsk was located in the extreme north. He had cultivated here for decades and created the extreme ice seal. With a thought, he could freeze everything within a 10-mile radius. However, he had to pay a heavy price to do so. Noticing that Shin Tianan and Lei Feihu were glaring at him, he said while clenching his teeth, Sure, I promise you. Mad Southern Yi, I'll let you taste the origin energy method today. Water Swamp Kingdom. Shin Tianan shouted and performed hand seals in the air with both hands. In the next second, a gigantic formation appeared above his head. The formation covered the entire ground like a pot lid. Boom! An incomparably terrifying aura came from his body, and the black river below was completely sucked dry. A river that was nearly 100 meters long turned into an azure dragon that rose from the ground. Martial Highness Realm. Lei Feihu stood in the air and crossed his arms in front of his chest. A green halo of light condensed in front of his chest. Then, he tossed it into the air with force. The halo of light rose into the air and suddenly expanded in all directions. Meanwhile, Yi Chen realized that a green cage that was almost materialized had appeared around him. The cage seemed to be completely condensed from energy, and it trapped him completely. Extreme Ice Seal. A loud roar resounded through the heavens and earth. Basha pushed the river beneath his feet with both of his hands. A materialized chill shot out of his palms and smashed into the river beneath Yi Chen's feet directly. Almost at the same time, a shocking chill exploded in the river. The entire area within a 10-kilometer radius of the Black Water River was frozen. Not only the river, but even the grass and trees on the shore were all frozen. Looking over, the river was frozen for 10 miles. What? Everyone was shocked. Basha was able to freeze the entire river all by himself. The scene in front of them was beyond the realm of mortals. Mad Southern Yi is going to lose after all. Yuan Chitai, who had been watching the scene, shook his head and forced a smile. Zhang Xianqing from Dragon Tiger Mountain nodded too. That's right. The legend of China's ancient martial arts world is finally coming to an end. His life is slowly coming to an end. If he's given another 10 years, sigh, what a pity. Master Yuan, is Brother Yi really going to die? Gigi's pretty face turned pale. She could barely stand. She could not accept the reality that was about to happen. Yuan Chitai glanced at her and forced a smile. Shin Tianan and Lei Feihu's combat strength have reached origin energy and martial venerable respectively, especially Lei Feihu. Mad Southern Ye's combat strength will be suppressed as soon as he unleashes his martial venerable territory. Coupled with Shin Tianan and Basha attacking crazily from the side, it's futile even if Mad Southern Yi has 3 heads and 6 arms. Yulei and Gigi could not help but have a change of expression when they heard that. They could only watch helplessly as the skinny silhouette was attacked by the 3 powerhouses. I admit that you're outstanding, but you shouldn't have offended the 3 powerhouses. I hope that you'll be an ordinary person in your next life. Yulien sighed softly as she looked at the silhouette. Ha ha ha, Mad Southern Yi, you're suppressed by my martial venerable territory. Do you realize that you can't move now? Lei Feihu roared into the sky. Martial Venerable was also known as a Martial Dao Venerable. As soon as one became a Martial Dao Venerable, one would know a bit of dimensional force. Most importantly, one could release one's consciousness and call it a territory. Within the territory, one would be the supreme existence. Die, Mad Southern Yi! Shin Tianan laughed hysterically while the water dragon that was formed from the river roared. It charged at Yi Chen ferociously. In the next second, it turned into an ice dragon under Basha's ultimate freeze. Yi Chen did not move at all. If one were to look closer, they would notice that the air under his feet was freezing at a speed that could be seen with the naked eye. Endless chill was coming at him from all directions. At that moment, everyone secretly shook their heads. Yi Chen was sentenced to death. At that moment, Shin Tianan and the rest were excited. However, Yi Chen sighed softly all of a sudden. Shin Tianan, Lei Feihu, Basha, I admit that you guys have powerful abilities and great teamwork, but what? Shin Tianan scoffed. Yi Chen lifted his eyes slightly. The 2 balls of golden flames in his eyes could not stop jumping as if they were about to erupt. However, you guys are unlucky because I've just refined a divinity. The 3 of you will die here. Haha, you're still boasting when you're about to die. Shin Tianan snickered in disdain. Yi Chen aside, even a real origin energy powerhouse and a martial venerable would die under the 3 of them's attack. The people were slightly stunned, and they could not help but look at Yi Chen. Could it be that he had some other techniques? Forget it. I'll sacrifice the 3 of you to my divinity today. Yi Chen shook his head lightly and took a deep breath in. His extremely cold voice echoed through heaven and earth. Golden pupil flame, burn the sky. As his voice fell, the golden flames in his eyes flickered intensely a few times. In the next second, the 2 golden flames that were as thin as needles turned into 2 dazzling golden fire pillars that shot out of his eyes. They were like 2 light pillars that pierced through the sky, piercing through the ice around. At that moment, everyone's expression froze. Chapter 441. At that moment, Shin Tianan, Zhang Xianqing, Yuan Chitai, Yulian, and the rest witnessed something that they would never forget for the rest of their lives. They saw 2 glaring golden light pillars shoot out of Yi Chen's eyes. They were like 2 heavenly light pillars that swept through heaven and earth. The layers of ice around Yi Chen were destroyed first. The 100-meter-long spell ice dragon that was attacking Yi Chen shattered after being hit by the golden pillar of light. It evaporated instantly. The golden pillar of light shot straight into the sky, causing the entire sky to turn red like a piece of red-hot iron. Red clouds filled the sky as one looked over. It illuminated everyone's horrified expression clearly. With the appearance of the golden light pillar, A scorching heat surged toward all directions with Yi Chen as the center. Wherever the heat wave passed, the ice layers and ice blocks that were as hard as cold iron melted and evaporated instantly. All the plants within 300 meters turned into ashes within the blink of an eye. It set off a series of explosions, and a wave of fire tens of meters high rose into the sky with a huge cloud of smoke. In the end, the entire Blackwater River was boiling, like a barrel of gasoline, and was set ablaze. Golden pupil flame, burning the sky. That was how terrifying the golden pupil flame was. Heavenly fire shot out of Yi Chen's eyes that could burn everything. How could mere ice and water be a match for it? What? Shen Tiannan's eyes widened in shock. He retreated while controlling his body, afraid that he would be hit by the light pillar. To this, Lei Feihu was shaking intensely. My God! It's impossible! Ba Sha had goosebumps all over his body. Disbelief filled his face as he said in an extremely sharp voice, "It's so possible." At that moment, heaven and earth fell into silence. There was only an extremely skinny silhouette standing proudly in the crimson sky. He was like a god that was high and mighty without being angry. He was like a fire god that controlled fire. Meanwhile, the people who were watching were dumbstruck. They were like ice sculptures that were frozen. The expression on their faces remained unchanged for a long time. Divine power, this is the real divine power. Zhang Xuanqing's lips trembled incessantly. Initially, he thought Yi Chen would die on the spot from Shen Tianan and the other two's ultimate attack, even if he was the number one in China's ancient martial arts world. Never had he thought that he would destroy the trio's attack as soon as he opened his eyes. Most importantly, the two golden beams of light that shot out of Yi Chen's eyes made all the hairs on his body stand on end. This was because it had completely surpassed the scope of spells. It was no different from the divine power in ancient myth. Could this be the legendary true Samadhi fire? His entire body was trembling. At this moment, he finally understood why Yi Chen's expression did not change even when faced with the combined forces of the three world powerhouses. In front of mad Southern Yi, how dare I call myself a celestial master? In my opinion, this person is not only the number one in the ancient martial arts world, but also the number one in the world of spells. Zhang Xuanqing's face was filled with shame. Yuan Qitai bowed to Yi Chen from the bottom of his heart. I can't believe that I'll be able to see such a divinity in my lifetime. I'll have no regrets even if I die now. Is he a human or a god? Yu Lian bit her lip and blankly stared at the silhouette in the air. Her heart was pounding. At the same time, intense regret surged uncontrollably inside of her. I was wrong. I've underestimated him since the beginning. I can't believe I looked down on him when he's so powerful. Even after finding out that he's the number one in the ancient martial arts world, Mad Southern Yi, I still didn't believe that he'd be a match for the three powerhouses. I even advised him to destroy his cultivation base and kneel to Shen Tianan and the other two. Haha, I'm just a clown to him. Her face turned pale as if she was a dye vat that had been knocked over. She spat a mouthful of blood out all of a sudden as she thought to herself. Are you all right, Yu Lian? Yu Lei held her immediately. Gigi looked worried too. Yu Lian waved and took a good look at the silhouette in the air after stabilizing herself forcefully. Her face was pale. Brother, I was wrong. Sigh. Yu Lei sighed softly. Master Shiegu felt his vision go black and he almost passed out. Earlier, he mocked Yi Chen in public that he did not know spells. He even said that as long as Mad Southern Yi dared to compete with him in spells, he could suppress him with a raise of his hand. He even said that if Mad Southern Yi was a spell master, he would chop off his head and give it to him. However, he was slapped in the face. Yi Chen had shown him what spells were. The aura of death rushed into his heart as he thought to this point. He looked at Shen Tianan and the other two immediately. He was extremely nervous, and could not stop secretly screaming. Shin Tianan, the three of you must kill him. Otherwise, I'll lose my head. In the next second, Basha clasped his fists at Yi Chen and said immediately, Mad Southern Yi, it's my fault this time. I'll leave immediately as long as you're willing to let me go. I swear that I'll never step into China again. Shin Tiannan's expression changed upon seeing how cunning Basha was. He said after secretly cursing, Mad Southern Yi, we admit defeat. Let us go. From now on, there'll be no grudges between us. The crowd gasped upon seeing that. They admitted defeat. The three powerhouses failed to kill Yi Chen together, so they admitted defeat now. It meant that Mad Southern Ye's combat strength was truly the #1 in China, the #1 in the ancient martial arts world, and the spell world. Tui. Master Shigu spat a mouthful of blood out. Despair filled his face. Yi Chen glanced at the three of them extremely coldly. A mocking smirk appeared at the corner of his lips. Let you guys go? That's right, Mad Southern Yi. The two of us still have the strength to fight. If this continues, both of us will be injured, Lei Feihu said in fear. Ha ha! Yi Chen stood with his arms behind his back, looking proud. You guys sure have a good plan. You want to admit defeat just because you can't beat me? How can there be such a good thing in this world? Mad Southern Yi, do you really want to fight us to the death? Shin Tianan was enraged. No, no, no. Yi Chen waved and said while smiling calmly, this will be over as long as I kill you guys. Shin Tianan, I heard that you brought a coffin with you when you came. That's great too. I'll treat it as a gift for you. As soon as he was done speaking, a dazzling light pillar shot out of his eyes. A dazzling light pillar shot out of his eyes. Shin Tianan let out an unwilling growl. He wanted to dodge, but it was too late. The golden light pillar pierced through his entire body, and his body exploded. The southern sect leader of Hong Kong's spell world, Shin Tianan, was dead. Lei Feihu had a drastic change of expression. Mad Southern Yi, let me go. I have hundreds of billions of assets, and I'm only one step away from becoming a martial venerable. Shut up. Yi Chen scoffed and shot out another golden light pillar. One of Hong Kong's two giants, the Thunder King Lei Feihu, was dead. Whoosh. Seeing that Shin Tianan and Lei Feihu had died one after another, Basha knew that it was useless to beg. He flew far away like a gust of wind. How dare a mere overseas barbarian step into China's territory? I'll turn your body into dirt today. Yi Chen opened his mouth and spat. A golden sword shot out. Basha was slashed into countless pieces and fell onto the ground. At that moment, the powerhouses from the three worlds were dead. At that moment, everyone who was watching blankly stared at the remaining silhouette. They were extremely shaken, and it was difficult for them to calm down. Yulian's body was extremely stiff. She was like a zombie whose soul had been sucked out. Zhang Xianqing of Dragon Tiger Mountain took a long time to snap back to his senses. His hand that was holding the horsetail whisk was shaking. He became a god in one battle, a god in one battle. From now on, Mad Southern Yi will be known as the undefeated legend of China. We've seen the undefeated legend. Yuan Chitai's body shook intensely. He clasped his fists and bowed at Yi Chen at a 90-degree angle. His face was filled with sincerity and passion. As soon as he was done speaking, everyone snapped back to their senses. They bowed and clasped their fists at Yi Chen at the same time. A thunderous voice came out. We've seen the undefeated legend. He had defeated Yuan Bupo single-handedly on the Surge River, killed 3 masters on the Jade Dragon Snow Mountain, destroyed the Su family with a swing of his sword. Now that he had killed 3 powerhouses from the 3 worlds on his own, Mad Southern Yi had never been defeated since he was born. Such a battle record. What else could he be if not the undefeated legend? P.S. The second chapter is a little too long. The climax is over, but I haven't thought of the ending yet. Therefore, there will only be 2 chapters today. Let me organize my thoughts. Chapter 442. The Undefeatable Legend. Countless eyes were trained on Yi Chen at the same time. They were either terrified, in awe, or envious. Shen Tianan from Hong Kong, the leader of the Southern sect, a legend of his generation. Lei Feihu from Hong Kong, the person who defeated China 50 years ago. Basha from Russia, the old monster who destroyed 10,000 troops on his own and could even fight an intercontinental missile head-on. However, all three of the world's top powerhouses were killed by Mad Southern Yi. Before this, none of the people who were watching the battle had high hopes for Mad Southern Yi. However, the dramatic outcome made them dumbfounded. From now on, apart from the title of Mad Southern Yi, he had another title that was going to shock the world. The Undefeatable Mad Southern. Mad Southern Yi, the Undefeatable Legend, or simply the Undefeatable Mad Southern. This guy has such combat strength at such a young age. He's indeed a genius. Some powerhouses looked serious while their hearts were filled with respect. Another person stroked his beard and sighed. With this person around, no one in China will be able to compete with him within 100 years. Perhaps in the future world tournament, China might be able to turn the tables. Everything calmed down. Yi Chen, who was hovering in the air with his arms behind his back, suddenly turned his head and looked down in a condescending manner. He shouted all of a sudden like a thunderclap. "Master Xiegu, give me your head." Master Xiegu, who had been trying to sneak away, had a drastic change of expression as soon as he said that. He shuddered as Yi Chen locked his gaze on him. "Mad Southern Yi, I was just messing with you earlier." He dared not run. Shen Tianan, Basha, and the rest were examples. "Messing with you?" Wu Yen from Lingnan's Wu family scoffed before Yi Chen could speak. "Xiegu? How dare you mess with Senior Yi? You said earlier that you'd sever your head if Senior Yi was really a spellmaster. Now it's time for you to fulfill your promise." "Wu Yen, you..." Master Xiegu's eyes widened. "What about me?" Laozhan sect leader, Meng Haoran, flung his sleeve and said, "Xiegu, I found out that you're an evil person. I thought God was kind to let you live until now, but I didn't expect you to offend Senior Yi. You deserve to die." "Not bad." Master Zabu of Tibetan Buddhism put his palms together and bemoaned the state of the universe. "Xiegu, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and do it so that I can release you from purgatory." "Pooh!" Master Xiegu was so mad that he spat blood out. Never had he thought that so many people would want him dead just to get on Yi Chen's good side. He could not help but look at Zhang Xianqing of Dragon Tiger Mountain. "Help me, Celestial Master. Xiegu, as the saying goes, good will be rewarded, and evil will be punished. If you don't dare to do it yourself, we can do it for you," Zhang Xianqing said with a straight face. At a time like this, Rotten Bones was still naive enough to think that he could protect him. Even if he could, he wouldn't do something like this for an evil person. "Ha ha ha!" Master Xiegu seemed to have heard something funny. "Kindness will be rewarded, and evil will be punished. Ha ha ha, the so-called kindness and evil are just a disguise for hypocrites like you to use. To me, anything that benefits you is good while anything that doesn't benefit you is evil." Master Xiegu laughed like he had just heard something funny. Hearing this, everyone's expression changed. The next moment, he moved and grabbed Yulian, who was next to him, directly. He was so fast that Yuan Chitai and the rest did not manage to react. Yulian shrieked and he choked her. "Yulian!" Yulei wanted to charge over by instinct when he snapped back to his senses. Master Xiegu scoffed immediately and said, "Don't come over if you don't want her to die. Let go of my sister." Yulei was furious. "Mad Southern Yi, I have a hostage now. If you don't want this lady to die for you, you better let me go." Master Xiegu looked at Yi Chen proudly. He knew that Yi Chen would definitely not let him go since the beginning. It was useless to run. The only way to save his life was to grab a hostage. Yulian had fear written all over her face. "Brother, save me!" Yulei wanted to kneel to Yi Chen by instinct. However, to his horror, he could not kneel no matter what. It was as if there was a pair of invisible hands holding him under his feet. Yi Chen extended his body and landed before the few of them within the blink of an eye. He walked toward Master Xiegu one step after another. "Mad Southern Yi, I have a hostage." Master Xiegu's expression changed. He retreated a few steps back with Yu Lian while threatening Yi Chen. However, he was interrupted by Yi Chen before he could finish speaking. "Why don't you kill her?" What did you say?" Master Xiegu thought he had heard it wrong. Yi Chen was getting closer and his expression was extremely cold. "What does her death have to do with me? Kill her, but you won't be able to escape today." As soon as he said that, everyone was stunned. Yu Lian's body shook and she looked at him in disbelief. However, all she saw was coldness, heartlessness, and numbness. Her face could not help but turn pale and she almost fainted. "So, my life is nothing to him. That makes sense. I've said that I'm not related to him, so why would he care about my life? Haha, perhaps this is karma." Yulei grabbed Yi Chen's thigh and begged, "Sir Yi, no, no, bang." Yi Chen flung him out by exerting a little strength. He proceeded to walk to Master Xiegu. The killing intent on his body grew with each step he took. "You've forced me to do this." Master Xiegu had nowhere to retreat. A ferocious expression flashed through his face as he slapped the back of Yu Lian's head like a maniac. Yu Lian closed her eyes in despair. Tears rolled down her cheeks slowly. Almost at that moment, Yi Chen raised his hand slowly and said, "Freeze." In the next second, heaven and earth froze. The people's expressions froze too. Meanwhile, Master Xiegou's hand that was slapping the back of Yu Lian's head eventually froze on her bun. He stopped moving. A sword gleam flashed through the sky. A huge head flew into the sky. "No!" Yulei fell onto the ground. The people shook their heads, thinking that Yu Lian was dead. Bang! A headless body fell hard to the back. The entire process took less than 2 seconds. Everyone was stunned at first. They could not help but inhale sharply when they saw it clearly. Xiegu is dead. A head fell from the sky and rolled down the hill. Dead silence filled the place. Everyone stared at Yi Chen in disbelief with their eyes wide open. Clearly, they did not expect Yi Chen to chop off Master Xiegu's head in less than 2 seconds. "Tui!" Yu Lian shrieked in fear as her face was covered in boiling blood. She passed out on the spot. Yi Chen glanced at Yulei, who was sitting on the ground like he was dumbstruck. He said calmly, "I've returned what I owed you guys." Chapter 1. There are 2 more to go. Chapter 443. Everyone was shocked as they watched Yi Chen leave. Everyone was secretly shocked. They could not understand how Yi Chen managed to sever Master Xiegu's head when he was 3 meters away from him and Master Xiegu had a shield. However, they had no idea. The spell that Yi Chen performed earlier was the immobilization tactic. This was completely due to the miraculous nature of the Divine Grade Dao Foundation. The Divine Grade Dao Foundation was superior to the Tiangang Dao Foundation and Disha Dao Foundation. The Tiangang Dao Foundation could execute 72 arts, while the Disha Dao Foundation could execute 36 arts. Meanwhile, the immobilization tactic was one of the 72 heavenly chi spells. Naturally, it was Yi Chen's first time trying it. Due to his low cultivation base, he could only perform it forcefully. Moreover, it depended on his opponent's ability. For an illuminating god powerhouse like Master Xiegu, Yi Chen's immobilization tactic could stun him for a second. However, that second was enough for Yi Chen to sever 10 of his heads. It was enough for Yi Chen to sever 10 of his heads. At the foot of a hill outside of Shenangjia, it was the biggest entrance to Shenangjia. However, nobody was going in or out. There was dead silence and intense killing intent lingering in the air. At that moment, there were a few silhouettes with terrifying auras standing at the foot of the hill. All of them wore black attire, and they were staring deep into Shenangjia. The leader was an old man with silver hair. It was the Heavenly Palace's left guardian, Ching Yin. Left guardian, Shin Tianan and Lei Feihu have been in there for over 2 hours. I'm sure Mad Southern Yi is dead by now, isn't he? One of them could not help but ask. Ching Yin shook his head and said, What's the rush? We just need to wait for them to come out. To ensure the Heavenly Palace's secrecy, they did not go deep into Shenangjia to watch the battle. That was because Zhang Xianqing of Dragon Tiger Mountain was there. His spiritual power was terrifying, so it was difficult for them to disguise themselves before him. Moreover, they had to prevent the people from Dragon Soul from interfering. If you ask me, the Palace Master is too cautious. Mad Southern Yi will definitely die if Shin Tianan and Lei Feihu work together. There's no need for us to wait here, another person scoffed. The rest nodded too. As people from the Heavenly Palace, they knew Shin Tianan and Lei Feihu very well. They even knew that Lei Feihu was Palace Master Guan Shanyue's senior brother. The Palace Master was already so powerful, let alone his senior brother. When Cheng Yin heard this, he sneered inwardly. I'm afraid you guys still don't know that the Palace Master has given a type of medicinal pill to Shin Tianan and Lei Feihu. The two of them can unleash combat strength that doesn't belong to the Palace Master. Moreover, there's the old monster from Russia, Basha. With the 3 powerhouses working together, Mad Southern Yi has no chance of surviving at all. Thinking to this point, he couldn't help but be eager to give it a try. Mad Southern Yi, the Dragon Soul saved you last time. I want to see who else can save you this time. Don't worry, after you die, the next one will be the Dragon King Niu Qingshan. The entire Dragon Soul will cease to exist. By then, the Heavenly Palace will reign supreme in China, and the Palace Master will rule the world. Someone is coming out. At this moment, someone exclaimed. Everyone hurriedly looked over and saw a skinny young man slowly walking out from the depths of Shenangjia with his hands behind his back. It's Mad Southern Yi. He's not dead? How is this possible? The few of them were shocked, and their faces were filled with disbelief. Oh no, Shin Tianan and Lei Feihu lost. Let's go. Let's go. Cheng Yin's expression changed. He seemed to have thought of something and dashed far away immediately. At the same time, a storm was stirred in his heart. Mad Southern Yi walked out unscathed, which meant that Shin Tianan and the other 2 had lost. He must report this to the Palace Master so that he could deal with it as soon as possible. The few of them ran away in a panic like dogs that had lost their homes. In the next second they saw a blur before them. A silhouette blocked their way. Yi Chen turned his head slowly and a mocking smirk appeared at the corner of his lip. Why are you leaving in such a hurry? Are you rushing to reincarnate? Why don't I give you guys a ride? You might be able to catch up to Shin Tianan and the rest on the road to hell. Kill him! Cheng Yin shrieked in rage. Everyone's aura exploded. An old man in his 60s threw a punch at Yi Chen first, causing a series of explosions to be heard in the air around. How dare you attack me? Die! Yi Chen shouted. The old man felt as if he had been struck by lightning. His body flew out and smashed heavily onto the hard stone wall in the distance. He spat large mouthfuls of blood and closed his eyes powerlessly. He's dead. The Palace Master is dead. The rest had horror in their eyes. One must know that the Palace Master had a cultivation base of a half-step martial venerable. However, Yi Chen killed him directly before he could even shriek. Run! Run! Mad Southern Yi is too terrifying. The few of them ran far away immediately. They wished they could have an extra pair of legs. Run? Where do you think you're going? Yi Chen smiled coldly. An invincible pressure exploded from his body and crushed the few of them in an overbearing manner. The pressure swept through the sky like it was destroying rotten wood. Bang, 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 the few of them who had just run 100 meters away exploded into bloody mist. Cheng Yin was the most powerful and he ran the fastest, so he was not affected. Although that was the case, he was horrified to see his underlings die. This man was invincible. He was invincible. Only the palace master could kill him. What he didn't know was that a wisp of golden flame had silently landed on his shoulder and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. In a guest house that was approximately 100 square meters in Tianan, over 10 men in gray robes sat with their legs crossed on the mat on the ground. Their eyes were shut as if they were old monks in meditation. They were silent. Creak. The door to the room was pushed open. A skinny old man with protruding cheekbones walked in with a pale young man. At that moment, the men who were sitting on the ground opened their eyes at the same time and said in unison, "Big brother, young Master Wang. The police have been strict lately. We can't wait any longer. Let's do it now." The old man glanced at the men with a piercing gaze after closing the door. His name was Lei. Among Lei Feihu's 13 godsons, he ranked number 1. He was also the leader of the 13 gangsters. He was ordered by Lei Feihu to bring them to Tianan to monitor the Yi family's every move. He was waiting for Lei Feihu's order to attack. Lei, who was in the crowd, frowned upon hearing what he said. He said, "Big brother, Godfather told us to wait for his order to attack. If we act on our own..." "Senior Lei," young Master Wang interrupted him before he was done speaking, "you guys have been in Tianan for a few days now, and you guys haven't gone out at all. You guys might not know this, but the police have been cracking down on pornography and illegal publications. They've sent out a lot of police officers. Last night, an illegal massage parlor in our area was closed down. We'll definitely attract the police's attention if we drag this on." After all, the men were dressed too strangely. Moreover, they had attracted the landlord's attention without even stepping half a step out of the door. As soon as the police found out that more than 10 of them were staying in a house, they would most likely be suspected. "It's just a few police officers. What's there to be afraid of?" Lei smirked upon hearing that. Lei glanced at him and said, "All right, let's do it. I'll talk to Godfather later. Let's go back to Hong Kong as soon as we're done." Chapter 444. I've found out about the Yi family's situation. Mad Southern Ye's wife, Su Yuhan, is the director of Star Group. She's in the office now while her parents are in a park. Her daughter is in kindergarten. Young Master Wang told them everything he knew. Lei Wan looked at his watch and said, "It's almost 5 p.m. Lei 2, you and young Master Wang will be in charge of capturing Mad Southern Ye's wife. Lei 3, you'll be in charge of capturing Mad Southern Ye's daughter. Lei 4 and Lei 5, you guys will be in charge of capturing his parents. Lei 6, you guys will destroy the Yi family and kill everyone related to Mad Southern Yi. Don't worry, brother. It's a piece of cake to deal with these ants." Lei 13 licked his lips and smirked. 8 of the Lei family's 13 gangsters came this time. With 8 martial Dao masters, they could even destroy a small country like Jiaoji, let alone the Yi family. There's one thing that you guys must remember. Don't hurt Mad Southern Ye's woman at all. She's very useful. Young Master Wang has to bring her back for Master Shin, Lei 1 reminded again. At the same time, at the Star Group's building, there were tens of white-collar workers and upper echelons sitting in the meeting room on the 8th floor at the moment. All of them sat up straight and stared at the main seat without blinking. Su Yuhan, who was wearing a beige professional dress, was studying a product design plan meticulously at the moment. Her facial features were so exquisite that there were no flaws at all. Her eyes were like limpid autumn water while she exuded a cold aura. She gave off an inviolable holiness. "Director Su is so beautiful." "That's right. I've been working for decades and worked in many companies, but I've never seen a company with such a beautiful boss. What a pity. I heard that Director Su has a kid. I wonder which pig cheated on her." Underneath countless people's serious appearances, there were all sorts of wails and sighs. Even the ladies present had to admit that they could not compare to Su Yuhan in terms of looks and aura. "Sun Bo." Su Yuhan lifted her head all of a sudden. Yes. A middle-aged man with glasses and slicked-back hair stood up immediately upon hearing that. He said with a smile that he thought was charming, "Director, are you satisfied with my proposal? You can leave now." However, Suyuhan said that instead. Sun Bo was stunned. "President, what did you say?" "I said you don't have to work anymore. I'm firing you." Everyone couldn't help but burst into an uproar when they heard this. Sun Bo was a professional designer poached from another company by Gao Hong, the vice president of the company. Yet, he was fired on the spot. Why? Sun Bo was a little angry. Bang! Suyuhan slammed the proposal hard on the table and glared at Sun Bo coldly. "Designer Sun, do you really think that I, Suyuhan, am an outsider who doesn't know anything about design? Your design book actually wants to add 15% to the company's annual product budget? That's because..." Sun Bo wanted to refute. "Do you believe that I can find a random design graduate on the street and they can do it better than you? Also, the budget won't be too much. With your level, our company can't afford to serve you. Go to the finance department, get 2 months of company salary, and leave." Suyuhan made the final decision. "President, give me another chance. I promise that I'll come up with a design that you'll be satisfied with." Sun Bo panicked. "You can stay, but you'll have to start as a design intern. 2,500 yuan a month. The 3-month assessment period. Are you willing?" Sun Bo shut up at that moment. His face was flushed. He might as well go back to the village to raise pigs with his condition as an intern. "There'll be a place for me if I can't stay here." He snorted coldly, pulled a long face and left. "Vice President Gao," Suyuhan said without even lifting her head. "President." The Vice President, Gao Hong, stood up immediately. He was nervous. "You poached Sun Bo, didn't you? What the hell are you doing?" Suyuhan slammed the table hard. Gao Hong was in high spirits. "President, it's my fault. I didn't know you well enough. I'm willing to accept any punishment." "It won't happen again." Suyuhan put the proposal away and stood up. Meeting dismissed. With that, she left in her high-heeled shoes. Everyone watched her leave while dumbstruck. It had been less than 3 days since Suyuhan joined the Star Group. In the beginning, everyone thought that she had gotten in through her connections and was just a vase. Therefore, they were rather perfunctory and passive when they worked. Never had they thought that such a beautiful woman would have such a domineering and overbearing side. First, she fired Sun Bo, the designer. Then, she criticized the vice president in public. The series of ruthless methods shocked everyone. It seemed like this beautiful president of ours was not simple. The people left the meeting room with different thoughts in their mind. In the president's office, Suyuhan looked at the time after cleaning her desk. Realizing that it was 5:30 p.m., a gentle smile appeared on her cold, pretty face. "It's time to pick Mengmeng up. That B***starred Yi Chen gave me such a big company. Isn't he worried that I'll be taken over? What's worse is that he wants me to pick up my daughter." At that moment, someone knocked on the door. "Come in." Yi Wen, who was dressed in a professional suit, walked in with her bag. She said in admiration, "Sister-in-law, this is the company. Call me president." Suyuhan reminded her. Yi Wen stuck her tongue out and said while smiling, "President, you were amazing earlier. I've been pissed off about those people in the company since a long time ago. These guys are the company's veterans. They're pretending to be obedient but secretly disobeying. In the end, you scared them so much that they didn't even dare to fart. I learned that from your brother." Suyuhan smiled too. "That B***starred keeps saying that if you can make a move, don't talk nonsense. I thought it's useless to be gentle to deal with these old foxes. I have to learn from your brother's domineering ways." "My brother is amazing." Yi Wen smiled playfully. "But you're even more amazing. You taught my brother-in-law a good lesson. WW doesn't even dare to say anything, let alone flirting with those shady women." Stop talking nonsense. Su Yuhan glared at her. I have to pick Meng Meng up. She was about to walk out of the office as she spoke. At that moment, a panicked voice came from outside, President, bad news, bad news. The next moment, a woman in her early 20s walked in with documents in her arms. She panted and said, CEO Han from Dongxing Group is here again. He has sent a fleet of cars to block the entrance. He even placed a lot of roses downstairs to confess his love to you in public. Him again? Yiwen was enraged. This bastard. How many times have I told him that our president has a child, but he's still clinging to her. He's trying to steal my brother's woman. Chapter 3. Today's update is complete. Thank you for everyone's support. Chapter 445. In the director's office of Star Group. What do we do now, Director? Facing the secretary's panic, Su Yuhan walked to the window and looked at the crowd below. She said, Shaolin, let's go. Let's go down. What did you say, Director? Go down? The lady named Shaolin was slightly stunned. She thought she had heard wrongly. Director Han has blocked the exit. He's waiting for you to go down. I think we should call the police and wait for them to come. That's right, sister-in-law. Han Zimming, that bastard, wants you to go down. Don't fall into his trap. Yiwen nodded as well. If it really doesn't work, we won't go out. I've decided. Let's go. Su Yuhan shook her head. After picking up her bag from the table, she walked into the elevator in her high-heeled shoes. She seemed very clean. Dongxing Group. It was the top group in the entire Tiannan city, with assets of hundreds of billions of yuan. It was founded in the early 1990s, and could be said to be a giant in Tiannan's business. Meanwhile, Han Zimming was the chairman of Dongxing Group. He had increased Tiannan's finances greatly and solved countless labor problems. If calling the police was useful, Han Zimming would not have come to Star Group to cause trouble. Moreover, she still had to pick up her daughter. It was impossible for her to hide in the company and not go out. At that moment, countless passers-by were gathered at the entrance of Star Group's building. Everyone had their eyes on the 20 latest Ferrari supercars by the side of the road. These 20 cars were lined up in 2 rows, and in the middle of the road, there were dozens of staff holding countless roses and starting to decorate the scene. Not long after, they arranged a big heart shape, impressively made up of 9,990 roses. Almost the moment Su Yuhan walked out with her secretary, Shaolin, and Yiwen, a handsome young man in a white suit knelt on one knee before the huge heart-shaped rose. Oh my God, it's Director Han of Dongxing Group. Someone cried out in surprise, recognizing the other party's identity at a glance. Han Zimming held a diamond ring in his hand and looked at Su Yuhan. He said with deep love in his eyes, Yuhan, from the moment I saw you, my heart told me that you're the person I've been waiting for my entire life. You've given me courage and motivation. I'll use my entire life to protect you. Please accept my love, Hua. In such a romantic and grand confession ceremony, coupled with Han Zimming's passionate confession, the atmosphere at the scene was completely ignited to the extreme. All the women present screamed in unison, their eyes filled with infatuation and envy. Even the female employees of Star Group were no exception. If such a young, promising, handsome, and rich person confessed to them like this, they would be willing to die for him, let alone accept his love. Together, together! No one knew who took the lead and shouted. A series of exclamations followed. Hearing everyone's screams, the smile on Han Zimming's face grew brighter. Passion and greed flashed through his eyes when he looked at Su Yuhan. He thought he understood women well enough. As long as it was a woman, she would not reject his confession that he meticulously set up today. Su Yuhan was such a stunner. He, Han Zimming, must obtain it. Su Yuhan frowned when she saw that. Just when she was going to speak, a young man in a security uniform walked over and said while smiling lightly, President, do you want me to chase Director Han away for you? His name was Zhou Tai. He was the new security captain hired by Star Group. He had been a secular disciple in Shaolin for 20 years, and he boasted about his ability. Therefore, he did not take Han Ziming's underlings seriously. No need. Su Yuhan waved and walked straight to Han Ziming. Yuhan. Han Ziming was elated. He thought she was touched. Director Han. However, Su Yuhan said coldly, "You and I aren't kids anymore. Is there a need to play such tricks?" Yuhan, Han Ziming wanted to explain. "I've already told you that I have a boyfriend and a child, so please don't try your best to pester me." Su Yuhan interrupted him directly and added, "Also, I don't like you. Please leave, thank you." "I don't mind you having a boyfriend and a child." Han Ziming smiled proudly and said, "Believe me, in the entire Tianan and in this world, only I, Han Ziming, am worthy of you. You and I are a match made in heaven." Before this, he had asked about Su Yuhan's situation. He found out that although Su Yuhan had a boyfriend and a child, she was not married. Moreover, he found out that Yi Chen had no background and did not even have a job. To Han Ziming, Yi Chen was purely a man who lived off a woman. To him, he was not a threat at all. Most importantly, it was fun to be a wife. Shameless. Su Yuhan was infuriated by his words. She turned around and walked into the garage after saying that. "Yuhan, if you don't promise me today, I won't let you go." Han Ziming's face turned cold. As he spoke, he extended his hand towards Su Yuhan as if he wanted to grab her. Su Yuhan's expression changed and she scoffed. "Iron Tower." Bang! A tall, muscular man rushed out of nowhere and grabbed Han Ziming's perverted hand. Then, the sound of joints cracking was heard. Han Ziming screamed in pain on the spot. "Let go of Director Han." The two muscular men yelled and charged at Iron Tower at the same time. Iron Tower merely waved his hand lightly, and the two of them were sent flying. No one knew if they were dead or alive. Subsequently, he grabbed Han Ziming's neck with one hand and lifted him into the air. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw that. Especially Zhou Tai, the captain of the security team earlier. His eyes were filled with fear when he looked at Iron Tower. He thought that he did not have such strength even after being a secular disciple in Shaolin for 20 years. Could this person be cultivating a body-hardening technique? Zhou Tai's eyes flickered nonstop. Crack, crack, crack. Han Ziming was lifted into the air. His face turned the color of a pig's liver, and his neck seemed like it was about to be crushed. His eyes were filled with fear, and it was the first time he felt the aura of death. "Let him go." Su Yuhan hesitated for a moment and eventually asked Iron Tower to stop. She said coldly, "Director Han, I'll teach you a lesson today. I hope you won't pester me again." Bang! Iron Tower tossed him out directly. WW. Han Ziming rolled a few times on the ground, then he was carried away by his underlings. At that moment, everyone looked at Su Yuhan differently. Clearly, they did not expect him to have such a powerful bodyguard. "Let's go." Su Yuhan glanced at the crowd coldly. Subsequently, she got into her red Porsche and drove straight to Little Swan Kindergarten. She had no idea that a black BMW by the road rolled down its window slowly. A pale face was revealed. What a stunner. It's a pity that she's going to be Brother Hoshino's wife. Senior Lei 2, follow me. Author's note, today's first chapter. There are still 2 chapters to go. Thank you for your 10,000 book coins. Chapter 446. Star Group was in the city center while Little Swan Kindergarten was in 4th Ring Road. They were 15 kilometers apart. On the way to Little Swan Kindergarten, Su Yuhan looked at Iron Tower who was driving next to her. She looked relieved. Fortunately, Yi Chen arranged for Iron Tower to be with her. Otherwise, she wouldn't know how to deal with Han Ziming's situation just now. At that moment, her phone rang. A gentle smile appeared on her pretty face immediately. She picked it up and said, "My dear daughter, what's wrong?" "Mommy, when are you coming to pick me up? I've already left school, a baby voice came from the phone. Soon, Mommy will be there soon, Su Yuhan reminded immediately. Su Yuhan reminded him immediately, wait for me at the school gate. Remember, don't run around. Be careful of cars. Alright, I know. I'm not a kid. Daddy isn't as naggy as you are. The little girl snorted impatiently and hung up the phone. This girl, I really can't do anything about you. How old is she? She's not a kid anymore. Su Yuhan did not know whether to laugh or cry after hanging up the phone. She seemed to have thought of something at the end of her sentence. Meng Meng will be 5 years old on the 8th of next month, right? 5 years ago, Yi Chen disappeared near the end of the year. After that, she found out that she was pregnant. She gave birth to the little girl on the 8th of October the next year. Therefore, the little girl's birthday was on the 8th of October of the lunar calendar every year. She was a Scorpio. That means there's still half a month left. Guilt flashed across Su Yuhan's face. I left this girl when she was 2 years old. I haven't celebrated her birthday since she was sensible. I must make it up to her this time. And that bastard Yi Chen. When he comes back, I won't let him out even if I tie him up with a metal chain. She picked up her phone and called Yi Chen immediately as she thought to this point. Yi Chen stepped on the sword gleam and said while smiling after picking up the phone, "What's wrong, my dear? Miss me so soon?" "Who misses you?" Su Yuhan spat at him angrily. "I want to discuss something with you. It's Mengmeng's birthday on the 8th of next month. How are you going to celebrate it for her? Is it your daughter's birthday next month?" Yi Chen was stunned. "Why don't I remember?" Hee, what else do you remember besides fighting and killing?" Su Yuhan chuckled and threatened, "I don't care. It's my daughter's 5th birthday. You must make her happy." Sensing the killing intent in her words, Yi Chen suddenly heard a loud thud coming from inside just when he was going to agree to it. There was also Su Yuhan's scream. His expression changed immediately. "Yuhan, what's wrong?" On the expressway of Tiannan Outer Ring Road, a black BMW crashed into a red Porsche. Su Yuhan, who was in the Porsche, leaned forward and her phone was flung out. Tai Ta grabbed her and took advantage of the moment when the car was about to fall off the viaduct. With a leap, the two of them safely landed on the railings of the viaduct. Boom! The red Porsche directly fell from the viaduct, and finally smashed heavily into the river 100 meters below. "Ah!" Su Yuhan screamed when she saw that. Her pretty face turned pale. The next moment, a pale-faced man in a black suit and a sinister old man in his early 50s slowly walked out of the BMW. The two of them closed in on him step by step. Su Yuhan's expression changed. "Who are you guys?" "Miss Su, you're Mad Southern Ye's wife, right?" The leading young man smiled warmly and didn't hide his greedy eyes at all. "My name is Wang Zhao, and I'm from Hong Kong. Miss Su, if you don't want to suffer, please come with us. After all, we really don't have the heart to hurt a stunning beauty like you." "I don't think I know you guys." Su Yuhan calmed down immediately. "You don't know us, but we know you. We know your husband, Mad Southern Yi," Wang Zhao said without stopping. "Why are you wasting your breath on her?" The old man next to her scoffed and stretched his arm out slightly. He grabbed Su Yuhan immediately while disdain filled his face. "What's wrong with my brother? Lei Tu actually asked me to capture such a powerless woman." The next moment, a furious roar came. Next to Su Yuhan, Iron Tower's body shook intensely and he threw a punch at Lei Tu. Gotcha! The punch and the claw collided. Lei Tu's knuckles were crushed on the spot. He retreated a few steps back uncontrollably after a low grunt. He was shocked when he looked at Iron Tower again. Such a powerful force. "Who are you?" Wang Zhao was stunned too. One must know that Lei Tu's ability was only second to the leader of the Lei family's 13 gangsters, Lei 1. However, someone managed to defeat him. Bang! Tai Ta roared out angrily once again in response to his question. His body suddenly swelled, and in almost the blink of an eye, He had grown to over 2 meters tall. His clothes were completely torn apart, revealing 2 dragon-like arms. Bang, bang, bang! The iron tower charged at Lei Tu at a high speed. The viaduct under everyone's feet would shake with each step he took as if it could not bear the weight. "Do you really think I'm scared of you?" Lei Tu scoffed and charged at Iron Tower. Both of them fought on the viaduct. The more they fought, the more shocked Lei Tu was. He realized that Iron Tower's body was extremely tough. Iron Tower did not feel any pain when he punched him. On the other hand, his blood vessels felt like they were going to explode when Iron Tower punched him. How is that possible? Where did this freak come from? Wang Zhao was shocked and enraged to see that. He scoffed and grabbed Su Yuhan when he saw how nervous she was. "Ms. Su, come with me." "Ah." Su Yuhan's pretty face turned pale. She retreated by instinct. However, just when Wang Zhao's hand was about to touch her shoulder, a glaring golden gleam shone from her body all of a sudden. "Ah!" In the next moment, Wang Zhao let out a blood-curdling screech as his entire body was sent flying. When he looked at his hand again, it was now a bloody mess. There were numerous bloody holes on it as if it had been pierced by needles. Meanwhile, there were spikes growing out of Su Yuhan's clothes. They protected her tightly like the spikes of a hedgehog. Is that a magic tool?" Wang Zhao lost himself in shock. Su Yuhan was stunned too. She could not help but stretch her arm out to touch the spikes. However, she realized that they did not harm her at all. She could not help but recall the clothes that Yi Chen had given her before he left. Yi Chen had said that it was some protective armor back then, but she did not believe him in the beginning. Never had she thought that it was real. "Senior Lei. W. This lady has a magic tool." Wang Zhao turned his head and shouted at Lei Tu, who was fighting Iron Tower while enduring the excruciating pain. However, he saw a nightmare subsequently. Iron Tower sent Lei Tu flying with a punch. At the same time, Iron Tower stomped his feet and shot into the air like a cannonball. In the next second, he stepped on Lei Tu. Lei Tu sank deep into the ground and eventually pierced through the viaduct. His body fell into the river 100 meters below with his body in pieces. Before Wang Zhao could react, Iron Tower stepped on him. Wang Zhao's eyes were wide open as he shrieked in fear. "Wait!" Su Yuhan stopped Iron Tower all of a sudden at the critical moment. She said to Wang Zhao while looking at him, "Tell me, why are you guys capturing me?" Wang Zhao was scared out of his wits. He told her everything about the Lei family's 13 gangsters wanting to destroy the Yi family. Su Yuhan's face turned pale after hearing that. "Are you saying that apart from me, someone else has gone after my family? Including my parents and my daughter?" Chapter 447. Hurry, drive faster. In a BMW, Su Yuhan ordered Iron Tower, who was in the driver's seat. She took out her phone and called Lin Tai. "Lin Tai, there are 8 people who want to fight our family. One of them is dead, and there are 7 more. They're looking for my parents and daughter now." Meanwhile, Wang Zhao was tied up and tossed into the trunk. Her heart was in her throat after hanging up the phone. She prayed secretly, "Mom, Dad, Meng Meng, please be okay. Tiannan People's Park." After hanging up the phone, Lin Tai glanced at Yi Hai and Wu Lan, who were square dancing far away. He even saw Yi Tao and his wife. Yang Tian, who was standing aside, took a puff of his cigarette and said while grinning, "Old Lin, come on. You lost the bet. Pay up." "Humph." Lin Tai scoffed. He took out a bank card and tossed it at him with a grim expression. He was pissed. Before this, the Patriarch of Hell had divined that someone would target the Yi family. Therefore, he told Lin Tai and Yang Tian about it. The two of them could only come to the park early in the morning to protect Yi Hai and Yi Tao secretly. However, both of them had been hiding since noon. They did not find anything. Lin Tai began to suspect that the Patriarch of Hell was lying. On the other hand, Yang Tian believed it without a doubt. He insisted on making a bet with him that the Patriarch of Hell's divination would come true before the sky turned dark. The bet was 10 million yuan. Su Yuhan's call proved the Patriarch's divination. While Lin Tai's heart ached when he saw Yang Tian taking the 10 million yuan bank card happily, he could not help but ask, "Do you trust the Patriarch of Hell that much?" He had mixed feelings about old ancestor Netherworld. He did not know how to evaluate him. It was the first time he had seen a dog who liked to take care of himself. Old ancestor Netherworld kept talking about how awesome he was in the past, and even said that he had 3,000 wives. In the end, Lin Tai suspected that he was crazy. However, Yang Tian believed him without a doubt. He almost became the Patriarch of Hell's lackey. Hearing that, Yang Tian took another puff of his cigarette and revealed an extremely sincere expression. "Believe in the Patriarch and you'll live forever." The corner of Lin Tai's lips twitched hard. "You really look like the Patriarch's lackey now. You're seriously poisoned. Believe in the ancestor and gain eternal life. You don't understand." Yang Tian chuckled. "They're here." Lin Tai suddenly turned his head to look behind him. He saw two old men dressed like farmers supporting each other in the corner of the square 10 meters away. Each of them was carrying a basket as they walked toward Yi Hai and the other three. There were fruits and vegetables in the basket. The duo was Lei 4 and Lei 5 of the Lei family's 13 gangsters. They were ordered to capture Yi Chen's parents. Considering that there were many people in the park, they dared not make a scene. "You're an expert, but you're pretending to be weak. If we weren't here today, you would have succeeded." Yang Tian and Lin Tai looked at each other. Intentionally or unintentionally, he walked over and stopped the two of them. At that moment, a ferocious gleam flashed through Lei 4 and Lei 5's eyes. Just when they were going to attack, they heard Yang Tian ask innocently, "Sir, how much are your tomatoes?" 5. Lei 4 said in his deep voice. Lei 5 secretly took a good look at Yang Tian and Lin Tai. He secretly shook his head at Lei 4 when he realized that they had no true energy cultivation base at all. 5 yuan a caddy of tomatoes? Did they grow them with the Patriarch's feces? What a pair of idiots! Yang Tian secretly scoffed, but he said in shock, 5 yuan a caddy? That's a little expensive, but your tomatoes look red and fresh. I'll take them all. Sir, I'll take your fruits too, Lin Tai said. Yang Tian pretended to take out his wallet as he spoke. He said, "I'm sorry, sir. I don't have any change on me. Why don't you guys follow me to the store? Our store is the Heidaleo store outside. The change is at the counter." "That's right. Follow me to the store to get the money." Lin Tai slapped Lei 4's shoulder as he spoke. Lei 4 squinted and grabbed Lin Tai's hand by instinct. "Ouch, it hurts," Lin Tai screamed in pain. "Sir, let go. You're too strong. Don't misunderstand. I just want you to follow us to get the money. I'll give them to you guys for free." Lei 5 secretly scoffed and passed the basket to Yang Tian as he spoke. He just wanted to get rid of these two blind things as soon as possible. "How can we do that?" Yang Tian hurriedly waved his hand and said sincerely, "I'm an honest man and will never take advantage of others. You guys should follow us to get the money. It's just a few steps away." Yes, this area is often visited by city enforcement officers. If you guys get caught buying vegetables here, you'll be fined. Lin Tai chimed in. Just yesterday, an auntie from the countryside was selling eggs here. She was caught by the city management on the spot. They later found out that the auntie was a murderer, so there are often police cars patrolling this area. As soon as he said that, Lei 4 and Lei 5 had a slight change of expression. They eventually nodded after some hesitation and followed Yang Tian and Lin Tai out of the park. Along the way, the two of them exchanged glances and secretly made up their minds to kill these two brats when there was no one around. Soon, the four of them entered a Heidaleo hot pot restaurant. "Sir, wait a moment. I'll get you the money now." Lin Tai walked to the counter and rummaged through the boxes. Lay 4 and Lay 5 took a good look at Hadaleo. They realized that there was almost nobody inside. Not only was there no receptionist, but there was also no cashier. Oh no, Laowu. There's something wrong with these two fellas. Lay 4's expression changed as he reacted immediately. In the next second, Yang Tian, who was standing before them, turned his head all of a sudden. A bottle of spray appeared in his hand, and he sprayed it at their faces. It was too late when the duo wanted to dodge. They felt a burning pain in their eyes, and they could not open them. Bastard, who exactly are you guys? How dare you trick us? What did you spray on us? Why can't we see anything? I'm going to kill you. Lay 4 and Lay 5 could not stop yelling in the shop. You two old farts, how dare you come out to kill people with your level of intelligence? Go home and drink a few more years of milk. Yang Tian scoffed and said, This is made from the patriarch's urine. No matter how powerful you guys are, you'll have to drink the patriarch's urine. Now that you're blind, let's see how you're going to kill us. Yang Tian released a long sigh again as he spoke to this point. Believe in the patriarch and you'll live forever. Lin Tai rubbed his palms as an intense battle intent filled his face. He said to Yang Tian next to him, Shall we take one each? It was 6 p.m. at Little Swan Kindergarten. Meng Meng, the little girl, stood at the entrance of the kindergarten while carrying a small backpack that belonged to a video game boy. She could not stop stepping on the leaves on the ground with her head down. Bad mommy. You're taking so long to pick me up. I'm starving. It was a little black dog that came out of nowhere. It wagged its tail and ran straight to the little fellow. Cutie, you're here? Did mommy ask you to pick me up? The expression on the little girl's face turned from cloudy to sunny. She hugged the patriarch so tightly that the patriarch rolled his eyes. The patriarch struggled and cursed internally. This little girl is really my nemesis. I left the little beauty alone in the house and came all the way here to protect you, but this is how you treat me. I'm not angry. I'm very Buddhist. Woof woof woof. P.S. Chapter 3. Today's update is complete. Thank you for your support. Chapter 448. Within half an hour, there were many killings in various places in Tiannan. It was silent, like a drop of ink splashing in the ocean. It did not cause much of a commotion. At 7 p.m., a sword gleam landed in front of the Yi residence's villa. Yi Chen covered the entire villa with his divine consciousness after putting his flying sword away. He could not help but heave a sigh of relief when he found out that the family was safe and sound in the house. Although that was the case, he could still smell the stench of blood. Frowning, he walked straight in. The little girl was dancing in the living room at the moment. Her little face was covered in sweat while Yi Hai, Su Yuhan, and the rest watched with a smile on their faces. Daddy, you're back? As soon as Yi Chen pushed the door open, the little girl turned her head and saw him. She leaped into his embrace and could not stop wiping the sweat on her face onto Yi Chen's shirt. Daddy, there was a bad guy who wanted to catch me earlier, but Cutie beat him up. Daddy's back. Nobody dares to bully you anymore. Yi Chen kissed her cheek and looked at Su Yuhan and his parents next to her. He smiled apologetically. I'm sorry that I'm late. I didn't know you were home. Su Yuhan scoffed and did not give him a friendly look at all. God knew how much fear she had experienced on the way to pick up her daughter. She had been on tenterhooks. Fortunately, her family was fine. Yes, wifey. It's my fault. Kneel on the keyboard or eat durian. You decide, okay? Yi Chen walked over and kissed her cheek while smiling. Whoosh. Su Yuhan's cheeks flushed immediately. The anger in her disappeared without a trace. She struggled away and rolled her eyes at him immediately. Do you want to die? Mom, Dad, and daughter are watching. She was conservative when it came to that. One could tell from the way she dressed, let alone being intimate with Yi Chen in front of outsiders. Shameful. The little girl covered her eyes immediately and peeped through the gaps between her fingers. Shameful. Daddy, you're shameless. Cough, cough, cough. Yi Hai and Wu Lan turned their heads away immediately. All right, you haven't eaten yet, have you? I'll cook for you first. Sensing that the atmosphere was rather awkward, Su Yuhan pushed Yi Chen away and walked into the kitchen while blushing. Yi Chen then sat down and looked at the little girl. My dear daughter, were you dancing earlier? Yes, yes, Dad, let me dance for you, okay? The little girl nodded like a chick pecking at rice. She then walked to Yi Chen and placed her hands on her waist. She jumped up and hummed, like seaweed, 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 swaying with the waves. The dance with the lyrics was a cheerful and humorous style. Coupled with the little girl's wobbly body, Yi Chen was amused. His eyes were filled with love. Soon, Su Yuhan finished cooking. It was almost 9 p.m. when Yi Chen finished eating with his daughter. The little girl fell asleep after cuddling in his embrace for a while. Yi Chen gave the patriarch of hell, who was lying on the sofa, a look when Su Yuhan went to the bathroom to shower. The man and the dog walked out of the villa. Lin Tai and Yang Tian were already waiting outside. Yi Chen lit a cigarette and said expressionlessly, "Tell me, what happened?" Although his tone was calm, Yang Tian and Lin Tai could still sense the coldness in it. Lin Tai did not hesitate and told him everything that happened. He even mentioned the patriarch of hell's divination. You know divination? Yi Chen was surprised. Of course. Patriarch Yellow Spring raised his tail proudly. Back in the day, I joined the Constellation sect to learn the art of divination in order to divine the color of a beautiful soul formation stage female cultivator's undergarment. I studied hard for 200 years. Yi Chen was speechless. Yang Tian was curious and asked by instinct, "What happened then? Patriarch, did you divine it?" "No." Patriarch Yellow Spring shook his head and chuckled. "I've been studying fortune-telling in the Constellation sect for 200 years, but not only did I fail to master it, my cultivation base has even surpassed that bitch's. Why should I be so stupid as to calculate her fortune? I'll just go and strip her naked and find out the truth. In the end, that B*TCH wasn't wearing anything at all." He added at the end of his sentence, looking like he was reminiscing, "Believe in the patriarch and you'll live forever." Yang Tian sincerely said this sentence. Yi Chen's expression turned grim and he glanced at him. "Believe in him and you'll live forever? Don't you know that he almost died? If you believe in him, you'll be dragged into the gutter sooner or later." Yang Tian smiled awkwardly. "So, these people are Hong Kong's Lei Feihu's adopted sons? They came to Tianan this time to touch my family under orders?" Yi Chen said while frowning. "That's right." Lin Tai nodded. "Lei Tu was killed by Madame's bodyguard, Iron Tower. The few of us killed the rest. Apart from Shen Tianan's registered disciple, Wang Zhao, none of them survived." "Great." Yi Chen's expression eased. "Bring me to Wang Zhao." In the Yi residence's dungeon, a pale young man was hovering midair with his entire body tied up. He looked at the pool beneath him in fear and said in utter terror, Help!" There were tens of crocodiles in the pool. All of their heads popped out of the water at the moment. They opened their mouths to reveal their sharp teeth while looking at Wang Zhao, who was in the air. They did not move at all. There were tens of crocodiles' mouths that were filled with fangs as far as the eye could see. Lin Tai had done that earlier. Creak. The door was pushed open. Wang Zhao jolted and looked over immediately. I'll tell you. Let me go. I'll tell you." "You don't have to tell me." An indifferent voice sounded. Wang Zhao looked over by instinct and was stunned as if he had just seen a ghost. "Mad Southern Yi, why you're not dead? How is that possible? Didn't my master, Shin Tianan, go to the Longmen Convention with Lei Feihu to kill Mad Southern Yi? Why is Mad Southern Yi here? Could it be?" A bad premonition appeared in his mind. Yi Chen did not bother replying to him. He stretched his arm and clawed at him. Wang Zhao was caught in his hand. Before he could react, Yi Chen pressed his palm on his head and performed the soul-searching tactic to read the memory in his head by force. A while later, Yi Chen tossed him into the pool. The crocodiles that were so hungry that their eyes turned green charged over immediately. The water was dyed red as they bit each other. Shin Tianan. Yi Chen chuckled as a ferocious gleam flashed through his eyes. You're extraordinarily vicious. First, you buried your son in the corpse breeding ground so that he would turn into a zombie and become your puppet. Then, you wanted to capture my woman to marry your son. It's unfortunate that you're dead. The only thing that puzzled him was that Wang Zhao, the nominal disciple, had no idea where Shin Tianan buried Xin Xingyi.